Hello viewers, hope you're doing well. Today in this video, I'm going to build full stack car rental project using Spring Boot, Angular and MySQL. So let's get started.
So in this application, we have the two roles. The first one is admin and the second one is the customer. You can see the components, that is the login, and here you can see the component that is the sign up. Let's register here the new customer. You can see here sign up successful. Let's go to our login component, and here I'm adding here the credential of the admin. Let's click on login. So you can see here it's navigating us to admin dashboard. For the authentication, I've used Spring Security in Spring Boot. Let me click here car component, and here I'm adding the image of the car. Let me select here Audi A6, and here we need to select the brand, that is Audi, and name, that is A6. Select type, hybrid, transmission automatic, and here I'm selecting the color, that is the red, model year 2023, and here we need to add the price per day, that is $300, and I'm adding here the description like Audi A6. Let's click on this button, and you can see the car posted successfully, and you can see the details like the brand name and the name, and here you can see the description, price, color, transmission type, and the year. So this is the main dashboard of the admin where all the cars will show, and you can see the button, that is update and the delete. So let me click on this update button to update this car details. Like I'm selecting here the model like 2024, and the price I'm adding 350. Let's click on this update button, and you can see the price and the model year updated successfully. Let's post another car. Let me select this image and the brand name, that is BMW, name 7 Series. $2023, and the color I'm selecting here black, and the price, that is $400, and the description I'm adding here BMW 7 Series. Let's click on this post button, and you can see car posted successfully, and you can see that is the car deleted successfully, and we are getting the updated record from the button. So the next thing in the admin module, that is a search functionality of the car. So you can see here the different inputs like the brand, type, color, and the transmission. If I want to select the car with the two fields like the brand name and the color, so let me add here the color silver, and the brand name is Volvo. Let me select here the Volvo from this drop down, and the color, that is a silver. Let's click here on search car, and you can see we are getting the result. Let me refresh the component, and here I'm selecting like Volvo search car, and you can see we are getting the results. So let me add here like Audi search car, and you can see we are getting the result. So let me log in the customer. And you can see the customer module, and you can see the dashboard of the customer where all the cars are showing in the dashboard. So you can see the book button. So if you click on this button, and you can see it's navigating us to the book car component, and here you can see the book car form with the inputs, that is the from date and to date. Customer will enter the date and book car. So let me add here the date like 6, and the to date is 10. So let me click here on book car, and you can see that is a car booked successfully, and the status for now it's pending, and you can see that is the from date and to date and how many days. The Spring Boot will calculate the days and the price according to the car. You can see the price per day, that is a $200, and here you can see the price for the 4 days, that is 800. And you can see the search component in customer module to search the car. So let me select here the Volvo from the drop down. Let's click on this search car button, and you can see we're getting the results. So let me select here like red search car, and you can see. So let's log out and log in again the admin. So you can see the booking component of the admin. The status of this booking is a pending for now, and you can see the two buttons in the action column, that is approve and reject of this booking. So let me click on this reject button, and you can see the status changed successfully, that is a rejected. So let's log in again the customer. And you can see that is the status changed successfully in the customer booking component, that is a reject. For the database, I've used MySQL. So let's go to our workbench, and let me show you the database and the table of this project. So here you can see the database name, that is a car rental underscore DB, and here you can see the tables of this project. The first one is at users, and the second one is a cars, and the third one is a book car. So let me open the users table, and you can see we have the admin account credentials, that is a email, name, and the password in the form of the hash and the user role over here. And here you can see the for the customers, and you can see the role, that is a 1. So 1 is basically a customer and the 0 is a admin. So let me open here the cars table, and you can see the details of the car is saved in this table, and here you can see the book car table. So this table is a relation with the cars. You can see here the car ID, and book car have also relation with the user table. You can see here the user ID. You can see the official website is Spring Visualizer. This website is help us to create an enterprise level application of Spring Boot. For the project, I'm setting MA1 in the language that is a Java. Spring Boot version I'm using, that is a 3.1.5, and here I'm going to change the group name, that is home.40 projects, and the artifact, that is a group packaging is Java. And the version is set to the same. So let's add few dependencies. You can see the Spring Boot that is used to create an API in Spring Boot. We also need to add a, that is a Spring Data JPL. Basically, this dependency is used to integrate with the database, like to save data, retrieve data, and delete data from the database. And here I'm going to add Lombok dependency that used to reduce the boilerplate code MySQL driver. So this dependency is used for MySQL database. Let's start this project. Let me open this project in our IntelliJ IDE. You can see here our project is open in our IntelliJ IDE, and you can see the SRC package. Let me open this main Java, and you can see the main file of our Spring Boot application. Let me set up the SDK. Let's go to our pom.xml. Let's go to our resources package, and here I'm going to write MySQL configuration to connect this Spring Boot application with the database. So you can see the URL, that is jdbc://mysql://localhost, and you can see the port of my database, and here's the database name. Let me copy this and go to our MySQL workbench, and you can see the icon, that is create a new schema in the connected server. Let me click on this, paste here the name to create a new database. Let's click on apply, and finish, and you can see database created successfully. Let's go to our Spring Boot application, and you can see the credential of my database. That is a username and the password over here. You can use here your credentials, and you can see the private class name, that is a call.mysql.cj.jdbc, and you can see the properties of JPA, that is a first one is update and the second one is a true. Let's go to our main file, and here I'm going to run our Spring Boot application. So let me click on this, run. And you can see application is started on port 8080. So that is a by default port. You can change the port by using a statement, that is a I want to run the Spring Boot application on this port. Let's stop this and run again. And you can see application is started on port 9000. I will use the by default, so I am removing this line. So let's go to our local directory, and here I'm going to create an Angular project. So let's open here cmd, and here we need to write the command to create our Angular project. So the command is ng space new space project name, that is a car underscore rental underscore Angular. And you can see, would you like to add Angular routing? So I will use this. So I'm selecting here yes, and you can see which style sheet format would you like to use. I'm selecting here SCSS, and you can see Angular project created successfully. Let me close this and open Angular project in our VS Code. Let's click on this terminal. This command is used to run the Angular application. Angular Live Development Server is listening on localhost colon 4200. So let me copy the link and go to our browser. You can see, let me open the src package, and here you can see the app.component.html file, and you can see the code that I have already in the Angular application menu. Create a new one. Let me remove all of this, and here I'm going to add h1 tag. I'm going to create a few packages that we will use in our Spring Boot application. So the packages are So these are the few packages that we will use in our upcoming videos. Let's go to our Angular application. So let's go to our terminal, and here I'm going to create a module for the admin and the customer. So the command is ng g for generate, m for module, and the package that is a modules slash, and here the module name that is admin, and hyphen routing is equals to true. And you can see the modules package, and here you can see the admin package under the modules, and you can see the two files, that is a admin routing module.ts and the admin.module.ts. Let's create a module for the customer. Let me add here customer. Let's click on enter, and here you can see the customer package, and you can see the two files of the customer module. So in the admin module, I'm going to create a new folder that is a components. Let me open the terminal in this components package, and here I'm going to create a component for the admin, that is a dashboard. So the command is ng g for generate, c for component, and the component name that is the admin dashboard. And you can see the admin dashboard component. I'm also creating a new package for the service. Let's open the terminal, and here I'm going to write a command to create a service for the admin. So the command is ng g for generate, s for service, and name of the service, that is admin. And you can see the admin service, and you can see the admin.service.spec.ts. Let me close this. We also need to create a service and the customer dashboard for the customer module. So let me add here a package that is a components, and second one that is a service. Let me open the terminal. So the command is ng g for generate, c for component, and name of the component that is customer hyphen dashboard. And you can see component created successfully. Let me close this, and here I'm going to open terminal. And here we need to write command that is ng g for generate, s for service, and name of the service that is customer. And here you can see customer service created successfully. Let's create a service and the components for the sign up and the login. So in the app, I'm going to create a new folder that is a auth. In the auth, I'm going to create a new subpackage that is a components. In the components package, I'm open here the integrated terminal. And here I'm going to write command that is ng g for generate, c for component, and name of the component that is login. And you can see login component created successfully. Let's create a sign up component, ng g for generate, c for component, and name of the component that is sign up. And you can see sign up component created successfully. So let me close this. So you can see the login component and the sign up component over here. So let me create a new subpackage under the auth, that is a services. And the services package, I'm open here the integrated terminal. And here I'm going to write command that is ng g for generate, s for service, and the subpackage for the services that is auth/auth. And you can see the auth service. Let's create another service that is storage service. Let me add here package name that is storage slash. And you can see two services created successfully. First one is auth and second one is a storage service. Let me close the PowerShell. Let's install the UI library that we will use in our project. Let's go to our browser, and here in the search that is ng0, and here you can see the official website of ng0. Let me click on this, get started, and let's copy this command that is ng add ng-0-antt. Let's go to our Angular project and open here a new PowerShell. Just do the command. So you can see the question, that is, would you like to proceed? Let me select here yes. So you can see the question, that is enable icon dynamic loading. So I'm selecting here yes, and the setup custom theme file, selecting here yes. This one blank. You can see ng0 UI installed successfully in our Angular application. Let me close this. Let's go to our UI, and you can see here the entity. So here I'm going to create a new class. So the name of the class is a user. Let's add here the annotation to make this class as an entity in the database. And the second annotation we need to add here at the data. And the third I'm adding here at the table, and the name of this table, that is a users. So let's go forward this package, and here I'm going to create a new package, that is a enums. In the enums package I'm going to create here a enum. So the name of the enum is user role. So here we need to define a role. So in this application we have the two type of roles, admin and the customer. So let's close this and let's go forward user entity. So here we need to add the properties. First one is a round ID, private string, name of the user, private string, email, private string, password, and private user role, and the user over here. Okay, so let's go to our DTO package, and here I'm going to create a user DTO. Let's annotate it at the rate data annotation. So let me copy the properties and add over here. Remove this password property from here. Let's go to our user entity. So we need to make this property as a primary key for the table. So at the data annotation, at the ID annotation, and the generated value, and the strategy, that is a generation type dot identity. Let's go to our repository, and here we need to create an interface for the user repository. Let's extend with JPA repository, override the method that interact with the database. So here we need to give the user entity and the data type of our primary key, that is a log. So let me import this user entity, and we need to add here the annotation, that is a @repository. Let's go to our services, and here I'm going to create a new sub package, that is a auth, and in the auth I'm going to create here a class, that is a auth service simple, and here I'm going to create an interface, that is a auth. Let's go to our auth service simple, and here we need to implement auth service. So let's annotate it the class, that is a @service, and here I'm going to inject our user repository, and here we need to add annotation, that is a @required args constructor. Let's go to our auth service, and in this I'm going to create here a method. So the return type of this method is user DTO, and name of the method is create customer, and in the argument it will receive an object of the sign up request. Let me copy the name and go to our DTO package, and here I'm going to create a class, that is a sign up request. Let's add here the annotation, that is @data, and here we need to get private string, email, name, and the password. So let's go to our auth service and import this class, and here we need to implement the method. So in this method I'm going to create here the object of our user entity to create a new customer into the database. So it will be a new user, and here we need to set the name, and we'll get the name from sign up request dot get name, user dot set sign up request dot get email, user dot set password, sign up request dot get password. So now I'm saving the password in the type of string. In the upcoming videos we will save the password in the form of the hash. So after that we need to set here the user role, that is a user role dot customer, and after that we need to call here user repository dot save method, and here we need to pass the user object. So we need to save the response of this method into this object, that is a created user, and after that I'm going to create the object of our user DTO, and here we need to set ID, and we will get ID from created user dot get ID, and after that we need to return user DTO. Let's go to our controller package, and here I'm going to create a class, that is a auth controller. Let's add here the annotation, that is a @rest controller. Second one, that is a @request mapping, and here I'm going to add the URL, that is a /API/auth, and the third annotation, that is a @required args constructor. Let's inject here private on the auth service. So here I'm going to create a method that will call a method from the auth service. So it will be a public response entity. I'm adding here, and name of the method is sign up. In the argument we need to get the object of the sign up request. So we need to add here at the rate request body annotation and the sign up request over here. And after that, we need to call a method from our auth service, that is a create customer, and here we need to pass sign up request. So we need to save the response of this method into this object, that is a user DTO and the name. So after that, in the if condition, we need to check that is created customer is equals to null. Then we need to return response entity and a string over here, that is a customer not created again later, and the attitude status we need to pass here. Let me add here the new keyword. In case if created customer DTO not null, then we need to return new response entity, and here we need to pass the object, that is a created customer DTO, and the status, that is a HTTP status dot created. To fetch this API, we need to add here the annotation, that is a @post mapping, and the URL of this API, that is a /sign up. So let's run the application and test this API from the Postman. You can see here the database. Let me refresh, and you can see here the table section. There is no table for the users. You can see here it's created a new table into the database, that is the users, and you can see the application is started on 8080. And you can see the table, that is the users. Let me open this. So let's go to our Postman, and here we need to add the URL of the API, that is a /API/auth/signup, and you can see the port of our Spring Boot application. So in the dropdown, we need to select here the. So with this request, we need to pass here the body. So let me select here body, raw, and then JSON. And here we need to pass the object. So let's go to our signup request. So these three parameters we need to pass: email, name, and the password. So let's click on this send button. We are getting the response. You can see the status, that is 201 created, and you can see the data that we got in the response of the API. Let's go to our database and let me refresh the table, and you can see customer created successfully. So now I'm saving the password in the type of string. In the next video, we will update the password and save into the hash form like this. Let me open another database. You can see the user table, and you can see the password. So we will store the password into the hash form. Let me close this. Let's add another functionality, like what will happen if the user is already exists in the database with the email. So we need to show a message, your email already exists in the database. So for this, we need to call a method from our auth service, that is a as user with email or something like this. Okay. So let's go to our auth service, and here I'm going to create a method. So the return type of this method is a boolean, and here we need to write the method name, that is a as customer with email, pass the string email. Let's go to our auth service simple, and here I'm going to implement a method, that is a has customer with email. So in this method, we need to call a method from our user repository, find first file email, and here we need to pass email. Let's create this method in our user repository is present. Let's go to our user repository and let me make a optional as a user, and you can see. So let's go to our auth controller, and here I'm adding an if condition, and here we need to call a method from our auth service to check the customer is exist with the email or not. So here we need to call a method that is has customer with email, and in the argument we need to pass here sign up request.get email. Then we need to return new response entity and the string, that is, and the HTTP status, that is a not acceptable. Let's run the application and test the functionality that it is working fine or not. So you can see application is started in port 8080. Let's go to Postman, and here I'm going to create a new customer, that is a. Let's click on the send button, and you can see customer posted successfully. Let me refresh the table. So let's test this API again with the same details. So you can see the status, that is a 406 not acceptable, and you can see the string, that is a customer already exists with this email. So first of all, I'm going to register our. So first one is a sign up, and second is a login. So let me add here the path for our sign up component, that is a register. And here we need to load our sign up component, and after that we need to add a path for our login component, and here we need to load login component. And after that, we need to add here the tag that is a router outlet to access our routing components. Let's go to our UI, and here I'm going to add a path for our register component. And you can see sign up component loaded successfully. And here I'm going to add path for our login component. And you can see the login component. So let's create a navbar. So let me add here the code on the top. You can see that is the NZ header. And you can see the first div with the anchor tag car into service. And you can see the nav links, that is the sign up and the login. And you can see the SCSS properties for the navbar. You can see the error, that is a NZ header not a known element. So we need to register this component into our Angular. So let's go to our app module.ts, and here I'm going to add these imports, that is NZ spin, NZ forms, button, input, and the layout. And we also need to add these name into the imports. So let me add after that, and you can see error removed from our app component.html. Let's go to our UI. Let's go to our app component.html, and you can see the buttons on the sign up. I've added here the router link, and you can see here the path for our sign up component, that is a /register. And you can see the login button, and I've added here the router link, that is a /login, to navigate the customer to the login component. So let me click on this sign up button, and you can see it's navigating us to sign up component. Let me click on this login button, and you can see the login component. Okay. So after that, we will create a reactive form for the sign up, where we will get the values on the click of the button. Let me close all the other files, and here I'm going to add an HTML code. You can see here the code of the form, that is a form tag, and you can see the input for the email, and you can see the input for the password, and you can see the input for the confirm password, and you can see the input for the name, and you can see the register button and the login button now. Let me add the properties for the CSS. You can see what is the problem. So we need to declare this spinning into our TS. So let me add here, and it will be a type of a boolean, and let me initialize with false. Let's save this, go to our UI, and you can see the sign up form. For now it's static. We need to make a reactive form, and we will get the values on the click of this button. So let's go to our TS, and here I'm going to initialize the variable, that is a sign up form, and we will initialize with form group. And here I'm going to add constructor, that is a private FP form builder. And after that, I'm adding here ng on init lifecycle hook to initialize our reactive form. And here we need to this dot sign up form is equals to this dot fp dot group. And here we need to declare our inputs that we got from the form. So the first one is a name, and it is by default null. And I'm adding a validation, that is a validator dot required. So the second we need to get, that is a email, and it's by default none. And here I'm going to add a validation for this email, that is a validator dot email. Third is a password, and fourth one is a check password for the confirmation that the check password is matched with our password or not. So let me add here check password. So we need to bind our TS with HTML. So let me copy the sign up form and go to our HTML, and here on this form tag I'm going to use a property, that is a form group, and here we need to give sign up form. And after that we need to bind the inputs with our TS. So you can see the input for the email. I'm selecting here the property, that is the form control name, and here we need to give email. And you can see the input for the password. So I'm adding here form control name and the password over here. That is the check password. So I'm adding here form control name and the check password over here, and the fourth is name. So let me add here form control name and the name over here. Okay, so let's save this. Let's go to our TS, and here I'm going to create a method, that is a register. On this I am printing the whole form into our console. So I've added here the console.log, and in this we need to add this dot sign up form dot value to print the whole form into our console. So let's save this, and we need to invoke this method and then click of this button. So let me add here a click event, and here we need to call this method. So let me open here the inspect near the console, and I'm adding here the email, password, Let's click on the register button, and you can see the value of the password and the check password is not matched. So we need to check in the Angular that the password and the check password is matched or not. We need to allow the customer only when the password and the check password value is matched. So to implement this functionality, we need to call here a method to do the import this form group. Let's save this. Let me copy the name and add into our method. So the purpose of this method is to check the values of the password and the check password. Okay, if the value is matched, then it will return confirm true. Okay, so let's save this. Let's enter again the data Johan and the password that is a Johan. If I'm adding here a wrong password like Johan @123, no password that you have entered is inconsistent. So let me add here Johan again, and you can see error removed. So let me add here the name like Johan. Click on this register button, and you can see the values of the form, email, name, password, and the confirm password over here. You can add it one more property on the button like disabled, and here we need to check that is sign up form dot invalid. Let's go to our UI, and you can see our register button is disabled. It will remain disabled until the user enter the data. Like if I'm adding here email, password, confirm password, and the name, the button is enabled. If I'm removing the email and added here the name instead of email, and you can see the button is disabled. And you can see the login now button. So let me click on this button, and you can see it's navigating us to the login component. Okay, let's go to our Spring Boot application, and here in the configuration package, I'm going to create here a class. So the class name is simple course filter. We need to implement with filter that is from Jakarta.servlet. So let me add here the annotation that is a @ component, and the second we need to add here that is a order, and here we need to select order dot high precedence. Okay, so let me add here the code. Let's fix these issues. And you can see error removed from our simple course filter class. So the purpose of this class is we are just allowing our front-end application to access the backend APIs. So we don't need to learn the things deeply. So let me close this and let me run the application and test this API from Angular. And you can see application is started on port 8080. Let's go to our Angular application. And here in the services, I'm going to create a method in our auth service. So first of all, I'm injecting here private HTTP with client over here. So on the top, I'm going to initialize a variable that is a base underscore URL. And here I'm saving the URL of our backend application that is a http://localhost:8080. Let's save this. So here I'm going to create a method that is a register. So in the argument, it will receive an object of the sign up request, and it will be a type of any. So here we need to return this dot http dot post method, and in the argument we need to pass here the URL of the backend application and the URL of the API that is a /API/auth and /signup, and you can see the mapping that is a post. So we need to add here the URL that is a /API/auth/signup, and after that we need to pass here the signup request object. Let's save this, go to our components and the signup component over here. So here we need to inject our auth service in the constructor. I've created here the instance of the auth service. So in this method, we need to call our auth service dot register method, and here we need to pass the values of the form. So let me copy the statement that is this dot sign up form dot value. We need to subscribe this, save the response into this variable that is a res, and here I'm adding console.log statement, print the result into our console. Okay. So let's go to our URL and let me open here the inspect. Let's post a customer like Johan. Password over here, confirm password and the name. Let's click on this register button. And you can see the response we got from the backend, that is the ID 5. So let me open here the database, and you can see our customer posted successfully in our database. That is the email johan@test.com. Okay. So we need to show here the notification like customer posted successfully or something else. To perform this functionality, I'm injecting here the message service. So I'm creating the instance in our constructor, and it will be a NG message service. We need to import here manually. So here we need to check in the condition, that is rest.id not is equals to null. Then we need to show this notification, that is a this.message.success, and in this we need to pass here the string, that is a sign up successful, and the duration of this message, that is a 5 seconds. And in the else we need to show this dot message dot error, that is something went wrong, and the duration of this is same. Okay, so we need to navigate a customer to the login page. So here in the if condition, I'm adding this dot router dot navigate by URL. And here we need to pass the URL of our login component, that is a /login. So let me inject here the router in our constructor. Now you can see property ID doesn't exist on the type object. To remove this error, we need to go our auth service, and here we need to add observable, that is the type of any. Okay, and you can see error removed. Let's go to our UI and let's post another customer. Now I'm adding this email and the name Zach, and the confirm password over here. Let's click on this register button, and you can see the notification service, that is a sign up successful, and it's also navigate us to the login component. Okay, you can see here the login component. Let's go to our application, and you can see the component section under the auth package, and you can see the login component. So our login component is registered in our app routing module.ts. So here I'm going to add a code. You can see here the main div. In this div, we have a form tag with the two inputs. First one is the email, and the second one is the password. And you can see the login and the register now button. So let me save this and go to our CSS file, and let me add here the properties. You can see here the properties for the form. Let's go to our HTML file, and here I'm going to copy this property and go to our TS. Let's declare with a boolean, and it's by default false. Let's go to our UI, and you can see the login form. So right now it's static. We are not getting the values from the input on the click of this button. So we need to make this form active. So let me click on this register now button, and you can see it's navigating us to the sign up component. Okay, so let's go back to our login component. Initialize the variable, that is a login form. Let's initialize with form group. After that, I'm going to add here constructor to inject our form builder. So it will be a private FP and a form builder over here. I have created the instance of the form builder. And after that, I'm going to add here the ng on init lifecycle hook to initialize our reactive form. Here we need to call this dot login form is equals to this dot fp dot group. So in this, we need to declare here the inputs name that we need to get from the form. So the first one is the email. So it's by default null, and I'm adding here the validation, that is a validators dot email, and the second, that is a validators dot required. So the second is a password. So it will by default null, and the validation, let me add here validators dot required. So we need to bind our TS with the HTML. So let me copy the variable name and go to our form tag. And here I'm going to select a property, that is a form group. So here we need to give the variable name, that is a login form. So our form is bind with our TS. So we also need to bind our inputs with our TS. So let me copy here the variable name, that is an email. And here we need to bind the input with the form control name, and it will be an email. So after that, we need to write our password input. So let me copy the name that is the password. Go to our input for the password, and here we need to select form control name and the password over here. Now our form and the inputs are bind with our TS. So we need to get the input values in the method on the click of any button. So here I'm going to add an event that is a click, and on this I'm going to call this method that is a login. Let me copy the method name and go to our TS, and here I'm going to create a method. So now I'm adding here console.log, and here we need to print our login form inputs. So it will be this dot login form dot value. Let's save this, go to our UI. Let's go to our login component, and here I'm putting inspect and the console over here. Let's put here the email like test@test.com and the password over here like test. Let's click on this login button, and you can see we are getting the values in our console. You can see the email and you can see the password. Let's add another property on the login button like disabled, and here I'm adding login form dot invalid. Let's save this, go to our UI, and you can see the button is disabled. It will remain disabled until our inputs is valid. So let me add again that email like test.com and the password over here like Johan, and you can see button is enabled. If I'm removing the email from here and putting the name, and you can see button is disabled. So let me add here the complete email, and you can see we are getting the values from the input. After that, I'm going to create a new module in our Angular application where we will add all the imports of our UI library. So here in the app package, I'm going to create a new class. So the class name is a ng0 imports module.ts. Okay, so let's save this. So first of all, here I'm going to import from that is a @angular/core. Okay. After that, I'm going to add here the decorator that is a ng module, and here we need to add exports. And after that, we need to export class file name. So after that, I'm going to cut all the imports from the app module.ts and go to our ng0 import module.ts and add after that. And we are also need to shift into our imports file. So let me save this and go to our this module, and here we need to add in the export section. So let's save this. After that, we need to import this file into our app module. So here I'm adding in the imports that is a ng0 imports module from /, this one. Okay, let's hit enter, and it will imports automatically, and you can see error removed. Let's go to our UI and let me refresh the component again, and you can see it's working fine. Let's go to our sign up component. Okay, you can see here the Spring Boot application. So let me stop this, go to our form.xml, and here I'm going to add few dependencies that is used to generate the JWT token. So let me add here. You can see the dependencies. First one is a Spring Boot starter security. Second one is a JJWT API, JJWT Impl, and you can see the JJWT Jackson. So this is for the testing purpose, and you can see the JJWT from Jackson Web Token, and you can see the Android JSON, and you can see the commons.lang3. So let's refresh the Maven. So here I'm going to create a new package, utils. So in the utils package, I'm going to create a new class. The class name is JWT util. Let's annotate this class with @component. So in this class, I'm going to add a few methods, and you can see the methods that is a extract username. So this method is allow us to extract the username from the token. So let's import this claims from the io.json web token. So after that, you can see the generate token method. So in that method, it will receive token value. So basically, the purpose of this method is it will return a boolean type like token is valid or not. So let me code this from java.util and the date over here io.json web token and the JWT. So after that, you can see the method that is a generate refresh token, and you can see the method that is a is token expired. It will return a boolean type like true and false, and you can see the extract expiration. It will return the date of the token expiration, and you can see the method that is a extract all claims, and you can see the method that is a get sign in key. We are passing here the secret key, and it will return a key to this method that is a extract all claims. So let me import this key from java.security and the decoders json web token.io, and we need to import this. Let's import this user details from the org.springframework.security.core.user details, and you can see the hash maps. After that, I'm going to implement this user entity with the user details. So we need to implement few methods. So let me add. After that, you can see the few methods. Let me put this grant authority and the collection list from the java.util, and you can see the simple granted authority. We need to port from springframework.security.core.authority. So let's go to our services, and here I'm going to create a new sub package, and the package name is a JWT. So here I'm going to create an interface, and it will be a user service. So here I'm going to add a method that is a user detail service. So let me import this user detail service from framework security core.user details. Let's go to our JWT package, and here I'm going to create a new class that is a user service impl. So we need to implement with our user service, and let me add a annotation that is a @service. So in this class I'm going to add a method. So you can see the method that is used to load username from our database. So see here I have injected here user repository. So let's import this, and we need to import this from springframework.security.core.user details. Let's import this, and the new username not found exception. We added the annotation that is @required args constructor to create the constructor. So basically the purpose of this method is used to get the user details from our database. You can see here we are passing the username like the email. You can see here the method from our user repository that is a find first by email. We are passing the email, and it will return an optional user because we have two possibilities. We will got a user with the email or not. Okay, in our configuration package, I'm going to create a new class that is a authentication filter. Let me make it as a JWT authentication filter. Let's annotate it with component annotation, and we need to extend this class with once per request filter. Okay, so in this class I'm going to add a method. So we need to pass the the details of the token from the authorization, and we need to allow the user to access our authenticated API. So basically JWT authentication filter will perform this action. Okay, you can see here JWT util file. So let me import this. Let me add here the annotation that is @required args constructor to create constructor. Let's import this user service from our project. Okay, so after that you can see here the method that is do filter internal. We need to import this, and you can see the HTTP servlet request, HTTP servlet response, and the this exception and the IOs, and you can see the Spring utils. You can see here we are saving the authorization key into this variable, and you can see I've initialized here JWT and the user email variables, and we are split the value barrier space from the token, and we'll get the token after that. So let's import this, and the user details over here, security context, username, password authentication token, and the web authentication token source are removed from this file. So after that I'm going to create a new class that is a web security configuration. So let me add here the annotation that is a @configuration, @enable web security, enable method security, and the fourth annotation we need to add here that is a @required args constructor. Okay, so here I'm going to add a method, and I will explain you the purpose of this file. So let's import this user service from our, and the bean we need to import from context.annotation. So security filter chain, and the HTTP security over here, abstract HTTP configuration. Let's import user role from our enums. So let's import this from our Spring framework.security, and you can see the password encoder. Let's import this speaker password encoder, authentication provider, and you can see the authentication provider and the authentication manager over here, authentication configuration. So you can see here the route that is a /API/auth. So we are allowing this route without JWT token, like user can access these APIs without JWT token sign up and the login API, and you can see the route that is a /API/admin/static. So these routes will use in the admin module, and you can see the route that is a /API/customer. So these route will use into our customer module. So we are allowing these two routes with the JWT token. You can see here the route that is a /API/auth. We have added here the permit all allow without the JWT token. It will be a session creation policy .stateless. So you can see the method that is a password encoder. So basically the purpose of this method is used to change the password into the hash form from the plain text. Like we will send the password into the form of a plain text. The password encoder will change the password into the hash form. And you can see the two methods, that is the authentication provider and the authentication manager. These methods are help us to generate the JWT token. So here in the DTO, I'm going to create a new class that is a authentication response. Let me add here the annotation. I'm adding here the properties that we need to send the response to the and the login successful. You can see the JWT user role and the user ID over here. After that, I'm going to add here the authentication request class. Let me add here the annotation that is a read data. Here I'm going to add two properties. First one is a string email, and the second that is a string password. After that, so here in our controller, I'm going to add a new method, the login. You can see, let me go from the top. After the auth service, let's import this authentication manager, user service, and the JWT util user repository. Let's import this authentication response from our project, and you can see the authentication request that I have created in our DTO package. Let's import this authentication exception, disable exception, and the username not found exception, and you can see the username password authentication token. Let's import this. So we need to get here the email, and you can see the authentication request.getPassword. Okay, so basically the purpose of this method is used to check the credential of the user, like user with the email and the password is already exist in our database or not. In case password is incorrect or user not found, then we need to return here incorrect username or password. After that, the email and the password is correct, we need to get the user details from our database. You can see I've added here the method that is a load user by username from our user details service. I've added here the method in our user service impl. So we need to pass here the email. Let's import this. Let's import our entity that is a user, called a method from our JWT util that is a generate token, and we have passed the user details. You can see the generate token method, and after that I've created created here the object of our authentication response. In case if optional user is present, then we need to set JWT user ID and the user role, and after that we need to return here this object that is authentication response. I have copy pasted all the code to generate token because we have covered this topic in the detail. I have attached the video link in the description. You can check it out. To implement this functionality, let's go to our auth service simple. And here you can see we have set the password into the form of a plain text. So let me cut this and add here new decrypt password encoder dot encode, and in the argument we need to pass here the object that is a sign up request dot get password. Okay. Application is started at port 8080. Let's hit this API. The URL is /API/auth/sign up, and we need to pass email name and the password in the body. Let's go to our Postman. So let me add here the URL of our API that is a /API/auth/sign up, and the mapping it will be a post body. We need to attach here in the form of a JSON. You can see email, password, and the name. Let's hit this API, and you can see 201 status created. Let's refresh the table, and you can see the password in the hash form. So let's log in and generate the JWT token for this user. So let me add here the URL of our login API that is a /API/auth/login. And here we need to select post. Let's attach the body into the form of a JSON. And here I'm going to remove this name property, and we just need to pass here email and the password. Let's click on the send button, and you can see the JWT token generated successfully. And you can see the role that is a user and the ID that is a tool. Let's post another user. So let me remove the customer and adding here the test and the name test and the password that is a test. Let's hit on send button, and you can see customer created successfully. Let's generate the JWT token for this customer. Let me add here the email test@test.com and the password. Let's click on the send button, and you can see. Let's go to our auth service, and here I'm going to create a new method. So the method name is a login, and in the argument it will receive a login request that is the type of any, and here I'm going to add observable. It will return this dot http.post, and here we need to pass the URL of our backend application. So first we need to put the basic URL, and after that we need to add that is /API/auth/login, and after that we need to pass here login request object. So let's go to our login component.ts, and here in this method I'm going to call our method from our auth service. So we need to inject our auth service first in the constructor. So it will be a auth service, and the auth service over here is dot auth service dot login, and here we need to pass this dot login form dot value. Let's subscribe this, save the response into this variable that is a res. Let's go to our UI, and let me enter the credentials, and you can see we are getting the token from the backend, and you can see the remaining details, user ID and the user role. So let's log in another user. Let me clear the console and add here the another email like test@test.com and the test over here. Let's click on this login button, and you can see the JWT for the test and the user ID and the user role over here. Okay, now the login API is working fine. So we need to create an admin account in our auth service simple. So let's go to our auth package, and here I'm going to create a method. Click void create admin account. Here I'm going to create an object that is a admin account from the user. So this will save the response of this method that is a user repository dot find by user role, and here we need to pass user role dot admin. So let me create this method into our user repository, and it will return a user. So after that we need to add here the condition where we need to check that is the admin account is equals to null. Then we need to create an admin account, otherwise not. So here I'm going to create an object that is a new admin account,
is equals to new user. So after that, we need to set name, that is a admin. New admin account dot set email, that is a admin@test.com. New admin account dot set password, and we need to save the password into the hash form. So here I'm going to use encrypt password encoder dot encode, and here we need to pass a password, that is a admin. And after that, we need to set the user role, and it will be a user role dot admin. So after that, we need to save changes. So here in the user repository, save, and here we need to pass new admin account object, and here I'm going to add system dot out dot println, and here's a message like admin account created successfully. It's just for the verification, like admin account is created. Alright, so our method is created in our admin service equal. So we need to invoke this method automatically when the application is run. So here I'm going to add a post construct. So this annotation will allow us to invoke a method when the application is starting. So let's run the application. And you can see there is no admin in our user table. And you can see it insert into the user email name, password, and the values. And you can see the message, that is a admin account created successfully. So let me refresh the table, and you can see ID 4 have an admin account, and here I'm going to log in the admin, and you can see the token for the admin is generated successfully. You can see here the token, user ID 4, and the user role, that is the admin. So let me stop the application and run again. And you can see application is started, but it's not created an admin account again because account is already used with the email, that is admin@test.com. You can see the storage service on the top. I'm going to initialize two variables. First one is a token, and here I'm going to give the key, that is a token, and the second, that is a user, and you can see the key, that is a user. So in this storage service, I'm going to create a method. So the method is a static save token. So in the argument, it will receive a token that is a type of a string. So first of all, we need to remove the token from the local storage. So here I'm going to call a method that is a window dot local storage dot remove item, that is a token. And after that, we need to set, that is a window dot local storage dot set item, to pass here our key and then the value, that is a token. So after that, we need to save the user. So let me copy this method and add after that, and let me update the name like save user. And in the argument, it will receive an object of the user, that is a type of any. So first of all, we need to clear the user from the local storage. So here I'm going to pass user variable, and after that we need to set item, and here I'm going to pass the key, that is a user, and after that we need to change this object into the string. So here I'm going to call json dot stringify, and in the argument I'm going to pass our user object. So let's go to our UI, and you can see we are getting the JWT token, user ID, and the user role. So we need to call a method from our local storage, and we need to pass token and the user object to this method. So here I'm going to add if condition, and here we need to check, that is a rest dot user ID not is equals to null. So in that condition, I'm going to create an object of the user, that is a const user, where I'm going to saving ID into this variable, and we'll get ID from rest dot user ID. And after that, we need to set here a role, and we will get role from rest dot user role. After that, I'm going to call our method from the storage service. So it will be a storage service dot save user. So here we need to pass user object, and after that we need to set token. So here we need to call storage service dot save token method, and here we need to pass rest dot JWT. Let's save this, go to our UI. Let me open here application, and you can see the token and the user details are saved into our local storage. So first of all, let me clear all of this, and let's log in the admin. Let's click on this login button, and you can see the object of our user, that is the ID and the role over here, and you can see the token. that's saved into our local storage. Now these two methods are working fine. So here I'm going to create a new method that is a static get token name, and here it will return window dot local storage dot get item, and it will get a token. After that, I'm going to create a method to get user. So it will be a static get user, and here we need to return listen dot parse, and here we need to get local storage dot get item, that is a user. So here after that, I'm going to create a method that is a static get user role. So I'm going to save the user into this variable that is a user, and here we need to call this dot get user method. And after that, we need to check here in the if condition that is a user is equals to null. Then we need to return the codes like null. Otherwise, we need to return here user dot role. Okay, so after that, I'm going to create here a method that is admin logged in. So the purpose of this method is we need to check that is admin logged in or not. It will return the boolean value like true and false. So first of all, we need to add here the if condition, and in the if condition, we need to get here this dot get token. If is equals to null, then we need to return here false. We add here the curly braces. So after that, I'm going to initialize here a variable that is a role. So we need to return here true if role is equals to admin. So let me copy this method and add after that. So let me update the method name like customer logged in. So here in this method, we need to check the role that is a customer. And here we need to call our service to this logged in router from the. So here we need to call this dot router dot navigate by URL, and here we need to pass the URL of our admin dashboard. So it will be a /admin /dashboard. Let me wrap this condition into the if. We add the curly braces. So after that, I'm going to add else if, and here we need to check that is a storage service dot is customer logged in. Then we need to navigate to the customer dashboard. So here we need to call this dot router dot navigate by URL. So here we need to pass the URL of our customer dashboard. So it should be a /customer /dashboard. Otherwise, we need to show here the notification service. So let me inject here our notification service. It will be a message from NZ message service. So here we need to call this dot message dot error, and the error message that is a bad credentials. And the duration of this notification is 5 seconds. So after that, I'm going to register our modules in app routing module.ts. So let's go to our app routing module.ts, and here I'm going to add path that is a admin, and here we need to load our children, and here we need to import module /admin module dot then, and it will be a, and here we need to select m dot admin module. It will be same for the customer. So let me add here the URL of our customer module. It will be a customer. There we need to import /module /customer module. And here we need to get m dot customer module. Let me remove this equal and add over here the colon. So after that, we need to register our dashboard components into the modules. So here you can see the dashboard component of the admin, and you can see the admin routing module.ts. So here I'm going to register our dashboard component. So the path I'm going to add here, that is a dashboard. If the path is dashboard, then we need to load here our dashboard component from the admin dashboard. And let's go to our customer routing module.ts, and here I'm going to register our customer dashboard. So let me add here the path that is a dashboard, and here we need to load our customer dashboard component. So let's go to our UI, and let me clear the local storage and refresh the component. And here I'm going to enter the credentials of the admin. Let's click on this login, and you can see the local storage, the user object, and the JWT token saved into our local storage, and you can see it's navigating us to admin dashboard. So let me clear the local storage, go to our login component, and here I'm going to enter the credential of our customer. Click on this login button, and you can see the details of our customer. You can see the user object with the ID and the role, and you can see the token of the customer, and it also navigates us to customer dashboard. You can see the navbar with the sign up and the login showing to the logged in and not logged in users. So let me log in here the admin. The same navbar showing to the logged in admin if I'm logging here customer. And you can see navbar has not changed. So we need to show a different navbar when the user logged in. So let's start the functionality. So let's go to the TS, and here I'm going to initialize a variable. And it will be a type of a boolean. And here we need to store service to it is customer logged in, and here I'm going to ensure that the build is admin logged in. So here I'm going to add ng on init lifecycle hook. So after that I'm going to add a constructor, and here I'm going to inject our router. So here we need to call this dot router dot events dot subscribe. It will be an event arrow, and here we need to check that is a event dot constructor name is equals to navigation end. Then we need to call here this dot is admin logged in is equals to storage service dot is admin logged in. And after that we need to call here this dot is customer logged in is equals to storage service dot is customer logged in, and it will be an event. Let's fix this. It will be a constructor. So let me update the name, and you can see error removed. So let's go to our app component.html, and here I'm going to copy this navbar and add after that. So for now, I'm going to add here the title of this navbar, that is a logged in admin. For the logged in admin, we need to show the two buttons. First one is a dashboard, and the second one is a logout. So let me remove this router link from the logout button. And on this dashboard, I'm going to add the URL of the admin dashboard. So here you can see the names of the admin navbar. So here I'm going to add static ng if, and here we need to give the variable name that is admin logged in. So let me copy from there and paste here. Let's save this, and on this navbar I'm going to add static ng if, and here I'm going to add not and the variable name over here, because we need to show this navbar only when the user is not logged in. If the admin is logged in, then we need to show this one. So on this navbar I'm going to add this variable name that is customer logged in, and the customer is logged in, then we need to show this navbar. So let me update the title like logged in customer, and here I'm going to add the URL that is a /customer/dashboard logout. Storage service. So let's go to our storage service, and here I'm going to create a method that is a static logout, which is you can type right. Window dot local storage dot remove item, that is a user object. Let me pass in the key that is a user. Let's save this. Let's call this method from our app component.ts. So here we need to call our storage service and the method that is a logout. And after that, we need to navigate the user to the login component. So here we need to call this dot router dot navigate by URL, and in the codes we need to add the URL of our login component. So it will be a /login. So we need to invoke this method on the click of the logout button. So let's go to our app component.html, and here you can see the logout button for the logged in admin. Here I'm going to add click event, and we need to invoke this method that is a logout. So let's copy this, and we also need to call this method on the click of this logout button in the customer logged in navbar. So let's save this, go to our UI, and you can see if I'm clicking on the logout button, it's navigating us to our login component. Let me open it as back. Let's click on this login, and you can see it's navigating us to the customer dashboard, and you can see the navbar for the logged in customer. If I'm clicking on this logout button, and you can see it's navigating us to the login component and the logo storage cleared. Let's log in back the admin, and you can see the login navbar for the admin. Let's click on this logout, and you can see it's working fine. Alright, after that I'm going to create a rectiform form for post car. So let's get started. You can see the admin module. In the components, I'm going to open a new integrated terminal, and here I'm going to create a new component. So the component name is a post car. So the command is ng g for generate, c for component, and name of the component that is a post car. And you can see component created successfully. And you can see the component that is a post car. So first of all, we need to register this component into our admin routing module.ts. So here I'm going to register. So the path we need to add here, that is a car, and here we need to load the component that is a. So let me log in the admin, and here I'm going to add the URL of the postcard component, and you can see postcard component works. So we need to add here the new button into the logged in admin navbar. So let's go to our app component.html, and you can see the navbar for the admin. So let me copy this button and add after that. So the name of the button is postcard, and we need to load a component. So in the router link, I'm going to add our postcard component URL. So it will be a /admin/car. Let's save this, go to our UI, and you can see button added into our postcard component. Let's go to our dashboard component, and after that I'm clicking on this postcard component, and you can see it's navigating us to postcard component. So let's go to our Angular project, and here in the postcard component.html I'm going to add a code for the HTML, because we need to create a rectiform form post the car. So you can see the HTML code where we have a main div, and another div we have a font tag with a few inputs. First one is a image input, and the second one is a drop down for the list of brands, and you can see the input for the name, and you can see the input for the drop down of the types. and you can see the drop down of the transmission. Here is the drop down for the colors, and you can see the year picker input, and you can see the input for the price, and you can see the input for the description, and you can see the button that is the postcard. So after that, I'm going to add the code for the SCSS. Let's go to our SCSS file. So you can see the SCSS properties. So let's go to our HTML, and here we need to import this spinning into our postcard component.ts. So let me add here spinning, and it will be a type of a boolean, and by default it's false. And you can see we have a method that is the event on change, and here I'm going to copy this method that is the on file selected. Let's go to our TS, and here I'm going to create a method. Now let's go to our UI and let's check. So you can see the error that is the ng spin. I have added already. So we need to import this file into our admin module.ts. So let's go to our admin module.ts, and here I'm going to import this file that is the ng0 import module. Let's go to our UI, and you can see, let me declare this variable into our TS, and it's by default null. And the image preview, let me copy this. Is a type of a string array buffer over here, and the selected file is a type of a file. Me add here file, and it's by default null. And you can see the error for the ng select. We need to import this. So we need to import this module. So let's go to our browser, and here I'm going to search ng0 ng select. Me open this. Let's copy this import and go to our ng0 imports module, and here I'm going to add this with the name and add into the export. So after that, let me refresh the component, and here you can see the error for the list of brands, list of types, list of transmission, list of color, and you can see the error for the ng year picker. So we need to import this. So let's go to our ng0 import module.ts, and here I'm going to add this, that is ng and picker module. Let me add the name into the exports, and you can see our ng year picker registered into our Angular project successfully. Let's fix these errors. So here I'm going to hard code some values. So you can see the array for the list of brands, and you can see the array for the list of type, and you can see the array for the list of a color, and the list of a transmission where we have a value. You can see here I added all the brands into the array, and you can see the types, that is a petrol, hybrid, diesel, and you can see the panel, and you can see the transmission that is a manual and automatic. So let's go to our HTML, and you can see the import for the brand where we have a drop down where we are showing all the brands into the drop down. Because I have added here the for loop where we are getting the brands one by one from the list of brands, and after that you can see here the input for the list of type where we are showing all the types into the drop-down, and you can see the list of transmission, and you can see the list of a color where we are showing all the colors into the drop down, and you can see the input for the model year. So let's go to our UI, and let me refresh the component, and you can see the form for the postcard. Right now it's static, so you can see the drop down for the brand name, and you can see the values that we have hard coded, and you can see the drop down for the type, transmission, and the color, and you can see the input for the model year, price, and the description. So let's make this form reactive because we need to get all the values from the form. So here on this method, I'm going to add the type of the event that is a page event. So to get, I'm going to create this selective file. Here we need to assign that is a event.target.price, and it will be a. And after that, we need to call here a method that is a review image. Let's create this method. After that, in this method, I'm going to initialize here a variable that is a const reader over here, and it will be a type of a new file reader. There we need to call reader dot download. Let me add here the arrow function. So here we need to call this dot image preview is equals to reader dot result, and after that we need to add here reader dot read as data URL, and in the argument we need to pass here this dot selected file. So let's fix this issue. Let me remove the dollar sign. Okay, so after that I'm going to initialize here a variable that is a postcard form, and it will be a form group. After that, I'm going to add here a constructor where we will inject our form builder. So it will be a private FP from the form builder. After that, I'm going to add here in the onInit lifecycle hook where we will initialize our objective form. And here we need to declare all the inputs that we need to get from the static form. So the first one is the name, and it's by default null, and it will be a validators dot required. The second we need to get that is a brand, type, color, transmission, price, description. So after that we need to bind our HTML form with the TS. So let me copy this variable name that is the postcard form. Let's go to our postcard component.html, and you can see the tag that is a form. So here I'm going to select the property that is a form group. So here we need to add the variable name that is the postcard form. Right now I think it's not working because we need to register the reactive form module into the admin module.ts. So here I'm going to add import that is a reactive form module and the forms module. So let me copy the name and add into the imports. Okay, so after that we need to bind all the inputs with our TS. So here you can see the input for the brand. So here on the and select tag, I'm going to use here form control name. In this we need to add the variable name that we have declared in our TS, that is a brand, and this input for the name. So on the input tag here I'm going to add form control name and the variable name that is a name, and you can see the input for the type. Add here form control name and it will be a type. And let me copy this. Let's go to our this input that is a transmission. So we need to add here transmission, and you can see the input for the color, and you can see the input for the year picker. So here I'm going to add form control name and it will be a year, and you can see the input for the price. So here I'm going to add form control name, and here we need to add the variable name that is the price, and you can see the input for the description. On the text area tag, I'm going to add form control name where we have a variable name that is a description. Let's save this. Let's go to our TS, and here I'm going to create a method that is a post car on this. For now, I'm going to add here the console.log to print the values of our form. So it will be a this dot post car form dot value, and we need to invoke this method on the click of the button. So let's go to our button, and here I'm going to add a click event will be in the banana brackets, and here we need to invoke this method that is a post car. So let's go to our UI. So let's add here the details like brand name BMW and the let's click on this post car, and you can see we are getting the data into our console where we have a brand, color, description, name, price, transmission, and the type. And on this method, we need to create here the object where we need to store the image and the remaining details that you can see in the console. So we need to add these details and the image into the object, and we need to pass the whole object to the backend to post the car. So here on this method, I'm going to add the code, and you can see the object that is a form data. That is a type of a form data. So you can see the input for the image, and I've added here this dot selected file, and you can see the remaining inputs that is a brand name, type, color, year, transmission, description, and the price. So let me copy this reactive form variable name that is a post car, and let me add on this. You can see the statement that is a this dot post car form dot get dot brand dot value, because we are getting the value of the brand from the reactive form. It will be the same for all the inputs. We just need to pass here the variable name of the specific input. Now we are getting all the inputs, and we are also getting the image into this variable that is img. We just need to pass this form data object to our data to paste the key. You can see here the Spring Boot application. First of all, I'm going to create here a new entity for the car. So let's create here the class. So here I'm going to add the annotation that is the @entity to make this class as a table in our database. And second annotation I'm going to add here @data. And the third annotation I'm going to add here @table. And here I'm going to define the name of the table, and it will be a class. So here I'm going to add the first property that is a id long, and I'm going to make this property as a primary key of this table. And the second annotation I'm going to add here @generated value, and it will be a strategy generation type dot identity. So second property I'm going to add here that is a private string brand, private string color, private string name, private string type, private string transmission, private string description, private long price, and second last that is a private date and the year over here, because we need to save the model of the car. Let me import this date from java.edit. And the last property we need to add here that is a private so let me add a annotation that is a @data. So here I'm going to add all these properties, and on the last I'm going to add here that is a private multi-part file, and the name of the variable that is a return image. Let's go to our car entity, and here on this property I'm going to add here the annotation that is a @column, and here I'm going to add the column definition that is a long block. So let's go to our services package, and here I'm going to create a new package for the admin. And here I'm going to create a new interface, and it will be a admin service. Let's create here the class that is a admin service impl. So we need to implement this class with our admin service interface. On the top, I'm going to add the annotation that is a @service to make this class as a service in our Spring Boot application. So let's go to our repositories package, and here I'm going to create a new interface for the car entity, and it will be a car repository. So we need to extend this with JPA repository, and here we need to give our car entity, and the second we need to pass here that is a data type of our primary key that is a long. Let me add here the annotation that is the @repository to make this interface. So here in the admin service, I'm going to inject our car repository, and here I'm going to add the annotation that is a required ARGS constructor, and it will be a private final car repository. So let's go to our admin service, and here I'm going to create a method post car, and in the argument it will receive car DTO. Now let's go to our admin service impl, and here I'm going to implement this method. So in this method, I'm going to create a new object of the car to create the new car in the database. So it will be a new car, and here we need to set name, and we'll get name from car.dto.get name, car.set brand, and we will get brand from car.dto.get brand, car.set color, and we will get color from car.dto.get color. After that, we need to set here that is the price, and we'll get price from car.dto.get price, car.set here, and we'll get here from car.dto.get here, car.set type, and we'll get type from car.dto.get type, car.set description, and here we need to set description, and we'll get description from car.dto.get description, car.set transmission, and we will get transmission from car.dto.get transmission. And after that, we need to set here car.set image, and we will get image from car.dto.get image .get bytes. So let me check what is the issue, why we are not getting the get bytes. Let's go to our car.dto.get image. Okay, so I've added here the wrong data type with this property. So here we need to add private multipart file and the image over here, and on this returned image property, we need to add here byte and the braces over here. Now we need to add the exception to the method signature. So let me add this. Okay, so after that, we need to call here car repository.save method, and here we need to pass our car object, save the new car into our database, and here we need to return true. On the top, I'm going to add here the try, and after that, let me cut all this code and shift into the try block. So after that, I'm going to add here a catch, and here we need to get the exception. In this, we need to return here false. Otherwise, we need to return here true if our car posted successfully. So let's go to our admin service, and you can see. So let's go to our controllers package, and here I'm going to create a new controller for the admin. So let me add here the name like admin controller. So let's make this class as a controller in our application. So here I'm going to add the annotation that is a @REST controller. Second annotation I'm going to add here @request mapping, and here I'm going to add the /API/admin. And the third annotation I'm going to add here @required ARGS constructor. First of all, here I'm going to inject our admin service. So after that, I'm going to create a method, and it will be a public response entity over here. And here I'm going to add the question mark. And after that, we need to add here the method name that is a post car. So in the argument, I'm going to add here the annotation that is a model attribute, and we need to get the car details. So here I'm going to get car DTO. So after that, we need to call here a method from our admin service that is a post car, and here we need to pass car DTO object. So let me add the exception to the method signature, and here I'm going to add boolean and the success over here. And after that, we need to check that is a if success, then we need to return response entity dot status, that is a HTTP status dot created dot build. Otherwise, we need to send here response entity dot status, that is a HTTP status dot that request dot build. So here I'm going to add the annotation that is a @post mapping, and the URL of this API that is a /car. So let's run the application. And you can see application started, and you can see the console that is a create table cars with these properties that is the ID, brand, color, description, price, name, transmission, type, year. So you can see the admin service. So on the top, I'm going to initialize a variable that is a const basic URL. So in this URL, we need to save the URL of our backend application. So it will be a http:// localhost colon 8080. So in the constructor, I'm going to inject HTTP client. So after that, I'm going to create here a method that is a post card. So in the argument, it will receive card DTO, that is a type of any. And here I'm going to add observable, and it will return this dot http://post. So here I'm going to add basic URL, and after that we need to add the URL of the API, that is a /API/admin/card, and we also need to pass here card DTO object. So in this request, we need to set the admin token into the header. So here I'm going to add curly braces, and here we need to call a method that is a this dot create authorization. So after that, I'm going to add the code. So let me import this HTTP headers, and here we need to call method from our storage service, that is a storage service.getToken. And you can see I've added here the key, that is authorization, and the value of this key, that is a barrier space, and the token over here. So with this request, we need to set the token into the header. That's why I've added here the start authorization, and in this we are getting the token from our local storage. So let me add here headers and the column over here, and here we need to call this method, that is a create authorization header. Okay, now you can see error removed. After that, we need to call this method from our postcard component.ts. In this file, I'm going to inject our admin service in the constructor. So it will be a private admin service, and the admin service over here. So here we need to call this dot admin service dot postcard method, and here we need to pass form data. Let's subscribe this and save the response into this variable, that is ls. And here I'm going to show the notification service to the admin, that is a car posted successfully. So let's go to our constructor, and here I'm going to add private message from NC message service. Here I'm going to add this dot message dot success, and here we need to pass the message, that is a car posted successfully. And I've added here the duration of this notification, that is a 5 seconds. So here I'm going to add console.log to print the result into the console. So in case of error, we need to show a new notification. So here I'm going to add error and the error over here, and here we need to show this dot message dot error, and the message over here, that is a error while posting car, and the duration I'm going to add here, that is a 5 seconds. So we also need to navigate the admin to the dashboard after the posting car. So here in the constructor, I'm going to add private router, and the router over here. So here I'm going to call this dot router dot navigate by URL, and here we need to pass the URL of our admin dashboard, that is a /admin/dashboard. So on the top, I'm going to call here this dot is spinning, that is a true, because we need to show the loader when our API is under processing. After getting the response, we need to stop the loading. So here we need to call this dot is spinning, that is a false. And let me check what is the issue with this. Okay, so here we need to add the is equals to, and here I'm going to add boolean is equals to false. Okay, now you can see issue resolved. So we also need to add here is equals to between the value, and you can see error removed. Let's go to our UI, and here I'm going to refresh the component. Let's log in the admin. So let's go to our post car component, and here I'm going to add the image of the car. Let's choose the file. Let me add here the brand name like BMW, and here I'm going to add the name X7, and the type, that is a hybrid, transmission automatic, select color black, and here I'm going to add the year like 2024, and the price per day, that is $1,000, and the description BMW X7. Before posting car, let me open the inspect, and let's click on this postcard button, and you can see the notification, that is a car posted successfully, and it's also navigate us to the admin dashboard. So let's go to our network, and you can see the API that we are getting the response, that is a 201 created, and you can see the request method, that is a post, and you can see the URL. Let's go to our database and you can see the details of the car. So let's go to our UI and let's post another car. So let me choose a file and the brand name like Audi, and here I'm going to add the name Audi A8, transmission automatic, select color black, model year 2024, price I'm going to add like 1200, and the description Audi A8. Let's click on this post car and you can see car posted successfully, and it's also navigate us to admin dashboard. Let me refresh the car table and you can see the details of the second car. So let's go to our car entity. So in this class I'm going to create a new method, that is a public, and the return type over here, that is a car DTO, and name of the method, that is a get car DTO. Let me import this car DTO class. So in this method I'm going to create a new object for the car DTO, and it will be a new car DTO. So the purpose of this method is used to change the entity to the DTO. So here we need to call car DTO.setID, and we will get ID from the entity. So here we just need to pass ID, that is the name of our property. So after that I'm going to add here car DTO.set name, and we will get name from the entity, car DTO.set brand, and the brand over here, car DTO.set color, and the color over here, car DTO.set price over here, car DTO.set description, and the description over here, car DTO.set transmission over here, car DTO.set year, and the year over here, and the last we need to set here, that is a return image, and we need to get image over here. So after that we need to return here car DTO object. After that let's go to our admin service interface, and here I'm going to create a new method. So the return type of this method, that is a list of our car DTO, and the name of the method, that is a get all cars. Let me import this list from java.util. Let's go to our admin service impl, and here I'm going to implement this method, that is a get all cars. So here in this method we need to return here car repository dot find all, and here I'm going to add stream dot map, and it will be a collect, and in the argument we need to select here collectors dot to list. I've added here the loop because we need to pass here two things. First one is a entity, that is a car, and the second we need to pass here, that is a get car DTO method. So after that let's go to our admin controller, and here I'm going to create the public response entity over here, and here I'm going to add question mark, and name of the method, that is a get all cars, and here we need to return response entity dot OK, and in the argument we need to pass here, that is a admin service dot get all cars method. We will get the list of the cars with the response of this method, and we just need to return the status, that is a OK, and the list of the car DTO. So here on the top I'm going to add the annotation, that is a @get mapping, and the URL of this API, that is a /cars. Let's run the application. And you can see application is started. Let's call this API from Angular. So you can see the Angular project. Let's go to our admin service, and here I'm going to create a new method, that is a get all cars, which will be a type of the observable, and here I'm going to return this dot http.get, and in the argument I'm going to pass here the basic URL. After this we need to pass here the URL of our API, so it will be a /API/admin/cars, and after that we also need to attach the JWT token into the header. So let me copy these headers and put into the curly braces. Let's go to our admin dashboard component.ts, and here on the top I'm going to add constructor where we will inject our admin service. So it will be a private admin service from the admin service. After that I'm going to add ng on init lifecycle hook where we will call method. So after the lifecycle hook I'm going to create a method, that is a get all cars, and here we need to call our service, that is admin service dot get all cars method. Let's subscribe this and save the response into this variable, that is a res, and here I'm going to add console.log to print the result into our console. And we also need to invoke this method. So here I'm going to add this dot get all cars method. Let's save this, go to our UI, and let's test this API. Let me open it, the inspect, and let me refresh the component. And you can see we got a response from the backend with the two cars. First one is a name X7 and the second that is a A8. Now we are getting the cars into our console. Let's show these cars into our admin dashboard. Let's go to our TS, and here on the top I'm going to initialize a variable with the any. So in this method I'm going to add loop. Let me add after that, and you can see, let's save this. So you can see I've added here the for loop where we will get all the cars one by one, and here you can see the div where we are printing the image of the car, and you can see the div where we will show all the remaining details of the car like brand, name over here, and the description, price, color, transmission, car type, and the year. Let's save this, go to our SCSS file, and here I'm going to add the styling properties. Let's save this, and here you can see the properties for the SCSS. Now let's go to our UI, and you can see the list of the pairs. Let me refresh the component. You can see in the Spring Boot application. So in the admin service, I'm going to create a method. So the return type of this method is avoid, and name of the method that is a delete car. And in the argument, it will receive a car ID that is a type of a long. Now let's go to our admin service impl, and here I'm going to implement this method that is a delete car. So in this method, we need to call here car repository, and the method that is a delete by ID, and here we need to pass our car ID. So let's go to our admin controller, and here I'm going to create a method, public response entity over here, and here I'm going to add void, and name of the method that is a delete car. And in the argument, we need to get the ID from the URL. So here I'm going to add the notation that is a @path variable and long ID over here. So after that, we need to call a method from our admin service that is a delete car, and here we need to pass our ID. And after that, we need to return here response that is a okay, and in the argument we need to return here null. On the top, I'm going to add the annotation to access this API that is a delete mapping, and here I'm going to add the URL of this API that is a /car/ID. So we need to get an actual value of the ID. So I've added here the curly braces around the variable name that is the ID. Let's start the Spring Boot application and call this API from Angular. And you can see application is started. Let's go to our Angular project. So you can see the Angular application. Let's go to our admin service, and here I'm going to create a method. Let me add here the name that delete car, and in the argument it will receive ID that is a type of a number, and here I'm going to add observable that is a type of any, and it will return this dot http.delete, and here we need to add the base URL of our Spring Boot application, and we need to add here the URL of our API that is a /API/car, and the ID over here. So here I'm going to add ID. Let's save this, go to our admin dashboard component.ps, and here I'm going to create a method to call method from our admin service. So the name of the method is a delete car. Let me copy the method name and go to our admin dashboard.html, and here I'm going to add the button after the HR tag. So you can see the button for the delete. On this button, I'm going to add the event that is a click, and on click event, I'm going to call this method that is a delete car, and in the argument we need to pass here the car ID. So we'll get car ID from car.id. So let's go to our TS file, and here we need to receive an ID. So now I'm going to add here console.log to print the ID into our console. Let's save this, go to our UI, and let's check we are getting an ID or not. What is the wrong spelling of the method? Let me copy the method name and go to our HTML. Let's save this, and you can see the button for the delete. Let me open the console. If I'm clicking on this delete button, and you can see we got an ID in the console. Let me click on this delete button, and you can see we got an ID. So we need to pass this ID to our backend to delete the car. So here I'm going to call this dot admin service dot delete car, and here we need to pass ID. Let's subscribe this, save the response into this variable that is rs, and here I'm going to call method to get an updated record of the car. So here I'm going to call this dot get all cars, and after that we need to show the notification service to the admin with the message like car deleted successfully. So in the constructor I'm going to inject private message from the message service. So here we need to call this dot message dot success, and the message over here that is a car deleted successfully, and the duration over here. Let's save this, go to our UI. Let's post a new car. Let's choose the file. Let me select the brand Volvo and the name like XC90. Select type hybrid, transmission automatic, color silver, and the model year like 2022, and the price per day I'm going to add here 900, and the description Volvo XC90. Let's post the car, and you can see car posted successfully. I'm going to delete this car. So here I'm going to click on this delete button. So you can see we got an error. Let me open here the network and let's check what is the issue. Let me clear again. Let's click on this delete button, and you can see we got an error with the 403 status. Let me open here the URL. Okay, so I've added here the wrong URL. Let's go to our admin service, and here I'm going to add /API/admin/car. After that we also need to set token into the header. Here I'm going to add curly braces, and here we need to set token into the headers, and here we need to call this dot create authorization header method to get the token from the local storage. Let's save this, go to our UI, and let me refresh the component. I'm going to delete this car. Let's click on this delete button, and you can see the notification that is a car deleted successfully, and you can see the updated record that we got from the backend. Let me refresh the component again. First of all, I'm going to create a new component in Dynamo. So let's go to our admin module, and here in the components package, I'm going to create a new component. So let me open here the integrated terminal. So the command is ng g for generate, c for component, and name of the component that is a update-car. Let's create this, and you can see component created successfully. Let me close the PowerShell, and let's go to our admin.module.ts. So here I'm going to register the update component. So let me add after that, and here I'm going to add the URL of our update component. That is a car/:id, and we need to load here update car component. So let's save this, go to our admin dashboard component.html, and here I'm going to add this button for this delete button, and the caption of this button that is a update. So here I'm going to add the router link. In the router link we will add the URL of the update car component, and we need to add the router link that is a /admin/car, and we need to pass here the car ID. So we will get car ID from car.id. Let's save this. Let me check what is the issue. Okay, so here we need to add the comma. So let's save this, go to our UI, and you can see the button for the update. Let me change the color of this button. Let me remove this NZ danger from here. Let's save this, and you can see the color of the button that is a primary. Let's click on this update button, and you can see it's navigating us to update car component. So let's go to our Spring Boot application, and let's create an API. So you can see the admin service interface. I'm going to create a method. So the return type of this method that is a car DTO, and name of the method that is a get car by ID. And in the argument it will receive ID that is a type of a long. So let's go to our admin service impl, and here I'm going to implement this method. First of all, I'm going to create here the object of our car. So it will be a option car, and we need to call here our car repository and the method that is a find by ID. And here we need to pass the car ID. After that, we need to check in the if condition where option car is present. Then we need to return here option car dot get car DTO. Otherwise, we need to return here null. So let me replace with this. So let's go to our admin controller, and here I'm going to create a method to call method from our admin service. So click and the response entity over here. And here I'm going to add DTO, and name of the method that is a get car by ID. And we need to get ID from the URL. So here I'm going to add annotation that is a @path variable. The data type of the ID that is a long, and the variable name. So here we need to call method from our admin service that is a get car by ID, and here we need to pass ID. So here I'm going to create an object of our car DTO, and we need to save the response of this method into this object. And after that, we need to return here response entity dot okay status, and in the argument we need to pass here a DT object. On the top, I'm going to add annotation to access this API, that is @ get mapping, and the URL of this API, that is /car/id. So let's run the application. And you can see application started. Let's go to our Angular project. Here I'm going to create a method that is get car by ID, and in the argument it will receive an ID that is the type of a number. There I'm going to add observable, is the type of any, and we need to return here this part http.get, and here we need to pass basic URL of our backend application and the URL of our API, that is /API/admin/car, and after that we need to pass here the ID. So here I'm going to add plus and the ID over here. So after that we need to set token into the header. So here I'm going to call method that is this dot get authorization header method to get token from our local storage, and we need to set into the header. So let's save this. Go to our update car component.ts, where I'm going to add constructor where we will inject our admin service. So it will be an admin service from our admin service, and after that I'm going to add here activated route. On the top I'm going to initialize a variable that is a car ID, and we will get car ID from the URL. So here we need to call this dot activated route dot snapshot dot parents, and here I'm going to copy this, and we need to add into the codes. Now we are getting the ID from the URL. So here I'm going to add ng on it lifecycle hook. So after that I'm going to create a method that is a get car by ID. So in this method we need to call here our admin service and the method that is a get car by ID, and here we need to pass. So we need to call this variable with this dot car ID. Let's subscribe this method, and we need to save the response in this variable that is a res, and here I'm going to add console.log to print the result into our console. In the lifecycle hook. So let's save this, go to our UI, and let's check the implementation. Let's click on this update button and get car by ID. And you can see it's navigating us to update car component, and you can see the car ID, and you can see the console. We got a response from the backend with the ID 1, and you can see the name of the car. So let me clear the console, go to our dashboard component, and here I'm going to click on this update button to get this car record from our database. So let's click, and you can see we got a response with the ID 3. You can see the details that we got from the backend. So here I'm going to create a reactive form where we will show all these details. So let's go to our Angular project, and you can see the update car component.ts. So here I'm going to initialize a variable that is a post car DTO, and here we need to give the res because the response of the API is saved into this variable. So after that, you can see here the returned image where we are getting the URL of the image from the backend. So we need to change this URL into the printable version. So here I'm going to add this line that is this dot existing image. Let me declare this image on the top. So you can see I've initialized with null and the data type that is a string. So let's save this. Let me add here the console.log to print the car DTO. Let me comment this line. Let's save this, go to our UI. Let me make this existing image too. So let me add here existing image. Let's save this, go to our UI. And you can see the URL for the image that is a printable. So let's create a reactive form where we will show all these details. So let's go to our update car component.html, and here I'm going to add code. So you can see the HTML code. You can see the form tag. Under this we have the div for the image input. So for now I'm going to comment this. After that, you can see the input for the brand, and you can see the input for the name, the car, and you can see the input for the type, input for the transmission, and you can see the input for the color, model year, price, and the description, and you can see the button for the update. So let me save this. Let's go to our SCSS file. So you can see the properties for the styling.
So let's go to our TS, and here we need to create a reactive form. So first of all, here I'm going to initialize a variable that is a date form, and it will be a from form group. And here I'm going to inject our form builder. So it will be a fp from form builder. And here we need to call this dot date form is equals to this dot fp dot group. And in this, we need to declare our inputs that we need to get from the HTML. So let's go to our postcard component.ts, and you can see I've created a reactive form for postcard. So let me copy all of these inputs, and here we need to add in the braces of the reactive form. So let's import these validators. So after that, you can see here the drop down for the type, brand, transmission, color. Okay, so we also need to hard code these all arrays. So let's go to our TS, and here I'm going to copy all of these. Let's go to our update car component.ts, and here I'm going to add after this. So you can see the arrays. Okay, so after that, we need to call here this dot update form dot patch value, and here we just need to pass the car DTO. So let's go to our update car component.html, and you can see the div for the existing image, where we have an image tag to show the existing image that's saved in our database. So you can see the src property where I've added the URL that is a existing image. So this property will get the image from this TS class. You can see here. So let's save this, go to our UI, and let's check we are getting the result or not. So you can see we're getting an error. Let me declare this is spinning in our TS. So let me declare here on the top, and here we need to initialize with by default false. And on this, I'm going to call here this dot is spinning, and here we need to make it true. After getting the response from the backend, we need to make it false. So here I'm going to call this dot is spinning is equals to false. So after that, we need to bind our TS with HTML. So here I'm going to copy this variable name, go to our update car component.html, and you can see the form tag where we have the reactive form name validator form. So let me update this with update form. So now I'm going to remove this method. Let's save this, go to our UI, and you can see our car patched in our reactive form successfully. So let me refresh the component, and you can see. So let's go to our dashboard component, and let me click on this update button, and you can see it's working fine. Let me increase the width of this input. So let's go to our input for the model year. Today I'm going to add style property where we need to change the width, that is a 100%. Let's save this, and let's check, and you can see the width increased for the model year. Let me refresh the component. Let's go to our dashboard component, and let me open this car. Let me open here the drop down for the brand, and you can see the hardcode values for the brand. That is the type, transmission, color, and you can see the input for the model year and the price over here and the description. You can see the admin service. I'm going to create here a method. So the return type of the method, that is a boolean, and name of the method, that is a update car, and in the argument it will receive car ID, that is the type of a long, and second it will receive a car DTO. Let's go to our admin service impl, and here I'm going to implement this method, and you can see the method. So let's write here the functionality to update the car in database. So in this method, first of all, we need to get a car from the repository. So here I'm going to create an object of the car, that is a optional car, and here we need to call car repository dot find by ID method, and here we need to pass car ID. After that, we need to check here, that is the optional car is present. Then we need to move in the if block, otherwise we will return here false, and it will be a existing car. Let me make it existing car, and here we need to give optional car dot get, and here I'm going to add another if condition where we will check car DTO dot get image not is equals to null. Then we need to set existing car dot set image, and we will get image from car DTO dot get image dot get bytes. Let me add the exception to method signature. We only need to set image when we have the image in the car DTO. Otherwise, we don't need to set the image. After that, we need to set here price, and we will get price from car DTO dot get price existing car dot set year, and we will get year from car DTO dot get year existing car dot set type, and we will get type from car DTO dot get type existing car dot set description, and we will get description from car DTO dot get description existing car dot set transmission, and we will get transmission from car DTO dot get transmission existing car dot set color, and we will get color from car DTO dot get color existing car dot set name, and we will get name from car DTO dot get name existing car dot set brand, and we will get brand from car DTO dot get brand. So after that, we need to call here our car repository and the same method, and here we need to give object that is existing car, and after that we need to return here true, and here I'm going to add else, where we will return the false. So let's go to our admin controller and let's create a method to call method from our admin service. So here I'm going to create a method that is a public and the response entity. I'm going to add here void and name of the method that is a update car. First of all, we need to get car ID from the URL. So here I'm going to add annotation that is a @path variable, and the data type that is a long, and the variable name that is a car ID. After that, we need to get car DTO. So here I'm going to use annotation that is a @model attribute, and here we need to get car DTO. So in this method, we need to call method from our admin service that is a update car, and here we need to pass car ID, and second we need to pass here car DTO. Let me add the exception to the method signature, and here I'm going to create a variable that is a boolean success. In this variable, we need to save the response of this method. So after that, I'm going to add here the if condition where we will check if we receive a true, then we need to return here response entity dot status that is a http status dot okay dot build. In case we got false, then we need to return here response entity dot status that is a http status dot not found dot build. Let me add here the try and move these 3 lines into the try block, and here I'm going to add catch where we will catch exception, and here we need to return response entity dot status that is a http status dot that request and dot build. So on the top, I'm going to add annotation that is a @put mapping, and the URL of this API that is a /car ID. So with this, we need to get an actual value of the car ID. So let's run the application. And you can see application started. I'm going to add few variables on the top in TS. So first one is a image changed, and it will be a by default false. And second, I'm going to add here that is a selected file. And here I'm going to add the type of this variable that is a any. And third, I'm going to add here image preview, and it will be a type of a string. And here I'm going to add array buffer and the null over here. So let's go to our update car component.html, and here I'm going to uncomment these 2 divs, the image and second that is a div for the image preview. So let me copy this method and go to our TS, and here I'm going to create this method, and in the argument it will receive an event, and it will be a type of any, and here we need to call a variable that is a distort selected file, and here we need to give event dot target dot files. After that, we need to call here distort image change variable, and here we need to assign true. After that, I'm going to add here distort existing image, and here we need to assign the null,
And the fourth, we need to call here method that is a distort preview image. So let me create this method. After that, in this method, I'm going to add here the variable that is a const reader. We need to read the file. So here I'm going to initialize with new file reader. After that, I'm going to call here method that is a reader.onload. And here I'm going to add array function where we need to call this dot image preview is equals to reader.result. After the array function, we need to call here reader.read data as URL, and here we need to pass this dot selected file. So let me add here the is equals to. Okay. After that, I'm going to create here a method called API from our admin service. So the method name that is a update car. So let's go to our postcar component.ts, and here I'm going to copy these functionality, and I'm going to add into this method. And we need to get all these inputs from update form. So here we need to pass update form. So here I'm going to add if condition where we will check this dot img changed and this dot selected file. Then we need to append this. So let me cut from here, and I'm going to add in the if condition. So let's go to our admin service, and here I'm going to create a method. So let me copy this method and add after that. So the name of the method that is a update car, and in the argument it will receive car DTO and the car ID. So here I'm going to add car ID, that is the type of a number. And here we need to add the mapping that is a port. And second, we need to pass here the URL that is a /API/admin/car and /car ID. So here I'm going to add car ID. And after that, we need to pass here car DTO object. So we need to call this method from our TS. So here I'm going to call this method. And second, we need to pass here this dot car ID with the car DTO object. Let me inject this message service in our constructor. So here it will be a private message from NZ message service. And we also need to inject a router in our constructor. So here I'm going to add private router from router. Let's save this. Okay. So here I'm going to change the message that is a car updated successfully. In case of error, we need to show the error that is a error while updating car. So we need to invoke this method. So let's go to our update car component.html, and here I'm going to add click event on this button. So it will be a click and the banana brackets around the click. On this click button, we need to call method that is update car. Let's test the API. Here I'm going to log in the admin. Let me open here the inspect. So I want to update this car. So let me click on this update button, and it's navigating us to update car component. So here I'm going to change the file. Let's choose the file. And here I'm going to change the name, that is a XE92. And here I'm going to change the color, that is a white. And the model year I'm going to change 2024. And the price I'm going to update this. And the description, that is XE92. Let's click on this update button. And you can see we got a response, car updated successfully. And you can see the name, and you can see the updated price, model year, and the color. So let's post a new car. So here I'm going to choose file. And here I'm going to select the brand, that is a Ferrari, and the name, that is 296 GTS. And here I'm going to select type hybrid, transmission automatic. Select color, I'm going to add here blue, model year 2024. Price, I'm going to add here 1200, and the name, that is a 296 GTS. Let's post the car. And you can see car posted successfully, and you can see the posted car. Let's update this car. So here I'm going to click on this update button, Let's choose a file, and here I'm going to change the name like 300 GTS V, and I'm going to change the color, that is a gray, and the model I'm going to select here 2025, and the price. Let's update the car, and you can see the response, that is the car updated successfully, and it's also navigate us to admin dashboard, and you can see the updated car. So you can see the Spring Boot application in the services package. I'm going to create a new package, that is a customer, and here I'm going to create a new interface, that is a customer service. In this package, I'm going to create a new class, that is a customer service impl, and we need to implement this class with customer service. And here I'm going to annotate this class with @service annotation, and here I'm going to inject our repository. Let me add this annotation, that is a @required args constructor. So let's go to our controller, and here I'm going to create a new class for customer controller. Let me add here the annotation, that is a @rest controller @request mapping, where I'm going to add the URL of this controller, that is a /API/customer. And after that, I'm going to add here the third annotation, that is a @required args constructor. So let me inject here customer service. So here I'm going to create a new method, and the return type of this method, that is a list of car DTO. So let me remove this, and let's import this list from java.util. And here we need to add the name of the method, that is a get all cars. So let's go to our customer service impl, and here I'm going to implement this method. And here we need to return car repository dot find all dot stream dot map. In the map, we need to pass here entity, and second we need to pass here get car DTO. And let me add here dot collect, that is a collectors dot to list. And let's go to our customer controller, and here we will give an endpoint to call method from our customer service. So it will be a public, and the response entity over here I'm going to add, and the return type of this method, that is a list, and it will be a car DTO. Let me import this list from java.util, and name of the method, that is a get all cars. And here we need to call customer service dot get all cars method, and here I'm going to create an object of a car DTO, and it will be a car DTO list. So here I'm going to return response entity dot OK, and in the argument I'm going to pass here car DTO list. So here I'm going to add annotation, that is a @get mapping, and the URL of this API, that is a /cars. So let's run the application. And you can see application started. Let's go to our Angular project and call this API from Angular. So you can see the customer module. Let's go to our customer service, and here I'm going to inject private HTTP, and it will be from HTTP client. So let's go to our admin service, and here I'm going to copy this basic URL. Let me add here on the top, and I'm going to copy this method, that is a get all cars. Let me add in the customer service. Let's import this observable from RxJS, and let me copy this method to get the token from our local storage. Let me import this from @angular/common/http. Okay, so here we need to pass the URL of the API, that is a /API/customer/cars. So let's go to our customer dashboard, and here I'm going to add constructor, where we will inject our customer service, and it will be from customer service. Let me add here the curly braces. So let's go to our admin dashboard, and I'm going to copy this,
Let me add after that. So here we need to call method from our customer service. Let me copy this variable and let me add here. Okay, so let's go to our UI and let's check we are getting the results. Let's go to our UI and let's register the new customer. So here I'm going to add email. Let me add the password and the confirm password and the name. Let's click on this register button and you can see signed up successful. And you can see it's navigating us to customer dashboard, and you can see we are getting the data from the backend. Let's load this car in the dashboard. So let's go to our admin dashboard component.html and let me copy all the code. Let me paste here and let me copy the styling and let me paste here. So you can see the properties for the styling. And you can see the code for the HTML. So I'm going to remove this div customer dashboard component.html because we don't need to show this button to the customer. Customer can only book the car. So let's go to our UI and you can see the cars. So let me refresh the component again. So that's all for now from my side. I hope you like this video. If you have any confusion, you can do comment and also subscribe to my channel for more videos and hit the bell icon. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye. Let's go to our enums package and here I'm going to create an enum and the name is book car status, and here I'm going to add the status that is a pending. Second, I'm going to add here approved, and third, I'm going to add here rejected. So let me close this. Let's go to our entities package and here I'm going to create a new class that is a book a car. Let's create this and here I'm going to add the annotation that is a @entity, and the second I'm going to add the annotation @data. In the class I'm going to add the properties. So the first one is a ID. So let me make it as a primary key, and the second annotation it will be a generated value that is a strategy generation type.identity. Second, I'm going to add here private date and from date. Let me import this date from java.util. Private date that is a from date. Private long days, private long price, private book car status, private user, and the user over here. So here we need to add the relationship with other entities. And second, I'm going to add here that is a car. So here I'm going to add the annotation that is a @many to one because one user can book many cars. So it will be a fetch that is a fetch type.lazy, and the optional that is a false. Second annotation I'm going to add here that is a @join column, and here we need to define the name that is a user underscore ID. And second I'm going to add here nullable false. Third annotation I'm going to add here on delete, and it will be a action is equals to on deletion dot cascade. And the fourth annotation I'm going to add here this and ignore. So let me copy all of these annotations and this property, and here I'm going to change the column name that is a car underscore ID. So let's go to our DTOs package and let's create a book car DTO class. So here I'm going to create new class that is a book car DTO. Let me add the annotation that is a @data. So here I'm going to add the properties. So let me copy the properties from the book car entity. So after that I'm going to add here private long car ID. And the last, I'm going to add here long user ID. Let's go to our customer service, and here I'm going to create method, and the return type of this method that is a boolean, and name of the method that is a book a car. In the argument, it will receive an object of book car DTO. Let's go to our customer service simple, and here I'm going to implement this method. So let's write here the functionality to save the bookings to the database. So first of all, we need to get car and user by ID. So here I'm going to create an object that is a optional car, and here we need to call car repository, and the method that is a find by ID, and here we need to pass car ID. So we'll get car ID from book a car DTO.get car ID, and after that we need to get user. So it will be a user and the optional user over here, and here we need to call user repository. So let me inject here user repository, and it will be a private final user repository. So here we need to call user repository dot find by ID method, and here we need to pass user ID. So we will get user ID from book a car DTO dot get user ID, and after that we need to check in the if condition that is a optional car is present and optional user is present. Then we need to move in the if block, otherwise we will return here false. So here I'm going to create an object of a book a car, and it will be a new book a car, and here we need to set user
and we'll get user from optional user dot get, and after that we need to set here car, and we will get car from optional car dot get. So let me set here book car status, and it will be a book car status dot pending. After that I'm going to create a variable that is the difference in milliseconds. So here I'm going to add milliseconds. So here we need to pass book a car DTO dot get to date dot get time minus book a car DTO dot get from date dot get time. And after that I'm going to create a variable that is a long days, and here we need to call time units dot milliseconds dot to days, and here we need to pass difference in milliseconds. So after that I'm going to call here book a car dot sec days, and here we need to give the variable that is a days, and after that I'm going to set the price, and we will get price from our this object that is optional car. So let me create here an object that is a car, and we need to give optional car dot get. Let me make it existing car, and we need to give here this object. Okay, so here we need to use existing car dot get price multiply by days. Okay, so after that we need to call here a book car repository. So let's go to our repositories package, and here I'm going to create a new interface that is a book a car repository. Let me extend with JPA repository, and here we need to give book a car entity and the data type of a primary key that is a long. Let me add a notation that is at the rate repository. So let's inject here book a car repository. So it will be a private final book a car repository. So let's call here book a car repository dot save method, and here we need to pass book a car object, and after that we need to return here true. Okay, so this is the logic to save the bookings into our database. Let's go to our customer controller and create an endpoint to call method from our customer service. So you can see the customer controller. I'm going to create a method that is a public response entity over here, and here I'm going to add void and name of the method that is a book a car. In the argument it will receive an object that is a book a car DTO. So I've added here the request body annotation, and here we need to call method from our customer service that is a book a car, and here we need to pass the object that is a book a car DTO. So here I'm going to create a variable that is a boolean success. So for that I'm going to add here the definition where we will check if we got true, then we need to return here response entity dot build. In case of false, then we need to return here response entity dot status that is a HTTP status dot bad request dot build. So let me add here the notation to access this API that is a @post mapping, and here I'm going to add the URL of this API that is a /car/book. So let's run the application. And you can see application started, and it's created a new table with the name book a car. You can see here the Angular application. So let me create here a new component. So the component name is book car. Let's register this component in customer routing module.ts. So here I'm going to add the path that is a book /:id, and here we need to load component that is a book component. So let's go to our customer dashboard component.html, and here I'm going to uncomment this div. So you can see the button that is update. Let me update the name that is a book, and here we need to add the router link. So it will be a /customer/book, and here we need to pass car ID. So let's save this. So let me click on this book button, and you can see it's navigating us to book car component. Let's go to our Spring Boot application and create an API. So you can see the customer service interface. Here I'm going to create a method. So the return type of this method that is a car DTO, and name of the method that is a get car by ID. In the argument it will receive an ID that is a type of a long. So let's go to our customer service impl, and here I'm going to implement this method. So first of all, we need to get car by ID from the car repository. So here I'm going to create an object that is a optional car, and here we need to call car repository and the method that is a find by ID, and here we need to pass car ID. After that, we need to check in the condition that is a optional car is present. Then we need to move in the if block, otherwise we will return here null. And here we need to return optional car dot get car DTO. So let me fix this. Okay. So let's go to our customer controller, and here I'm going to create method. So the method will be a public response entity over here, and here I'm going to add car DTO, and name of the method that is a get car by ID, and we need to get car ID from the URL. So here we need to add annotation that is a @path variable long car ID, and here we need call method from our customer service that is a get car by ID, and here we need to pass car ID, and here I'm going to create an object of car DTO, and here we need to check in the condition if car DTO is equals to null. Then we need to return here response entity dot not found dot build. In case if car DTO not null, then we need to return here response entity dot okay, and in the argument we need to pass here car DTO. So on the top I'm going to add annotation that is @get mapping, and the URL of this API that is a /car ID. Run the application. And you can see application started. Let's go to our Angular project and call this API. Let's go to our customer service, and here I'm going to copy this method, and then after that, let me update the name that is a get car by ID. In the argument, it will receive a car ID that is a type of a number, and here we need to add the URL of this API that is a /API/customer/car/car ID. So let me close this, and let's go to our car component.ts. So first of all, I'm going to add a constructor where we will inject our customer service. So it will be a private service from customer service, and here I'm going to add on init lifecycle hook. Let me create your method. After that is a get car by ID. In the constructor, I'm going to inject activated route, and it will be from activated route. So we need to get car ID from the URL. So here I'm going to initialize variable with the number that is the car ID, and here we need to call this dot activated route snapshot dot params, and here we need to pass the variable name that we have declared in customer routing. So let me add here the brackets so you can see. Let me copy this, and we need to add here. So here we need to call service and the method that is a get car by ID, and here we need to pass car ID. Let's subscribe this, save the response into this variable that is our s, and here I'm going to add consolidate load and bring the result into our console. Let me move this method in the lifecycle loop. So it will be this dot get car by ID. So let's save this. Let's go to our URL and let me log in the customer. So let's click on this book button, and you can see it's navigating us to book car component, and you can see the car ID, and you can see the console that we are getting the data from the database. So let's go to our dashboard component, and let me click on this book button of this car, and you can see the ID and the data that we got from the database. So we need to show this car into our UI. So let's go to our customer dashboard, and here I'm going to copy all of this code, and I'm going to add here. So here we just need to remove this loop because we are getting only one car. So here I'm going to initialize variable that is a car, that is a type of any, and the second variable that is a processed image, and it will also a type of any. And here I'm going to call this dot processed image, and here we need to give the string. So let me copy this and add here. So it will be a res dot returned image, and after that we need to call here this dot car, and here we need to give res. Okay, so let's go to our book car component.html, and here I'm going to add array ng if directive where we will check if we have a car, then we need to show this div, otherwise not. So let me make it image. Let me copy this and remove this car dot from here, and we need to add here. Okay. So let me close the console. Let's go to our dashboard, and let me click on this book button, and you can see we are getting the car. All right. You can see here the customer service. So let me copy this method and add after that. So I'm going to update the method name that is a book car, and in the argument it will receive book car DTO. That is the type of any, and here we need to pass book car DTO, and the mapping it will be a post, and here we need to pass the URL of the API that is a /API/customer/car/book, So let's save this. Let me close this. Let's go to our book car component.ts, and here I'm going to initialize a variable that is a validate form, and it will be a from group. So in the ng on init, I'm going to initialize a directory form. So it will be a validate form is equals to, let me inject here form builder. And here we need to call this .fp.group. And here we need to declare the inputs that we need to get from the HTML. So it will be a to date, and it's by default null. And the second, it will be a validators dot required. And the second, I'm going to add here from date. So let's save this. And here I'm going to create method that is a book car. So in the argument, it will receive data that is a type of any. So let's go to our HTML, and here I'm going to add the HTML code. So you can see here I've added the code with the NCSpin tag, where we have a first input that is a from date and second input that is a to date, and you can see the button that is a book card. So first of all, we need to bind our TS with the HTML. So let me copy this variable name that is a validate form, and we need to add here on the form tag with the form group property. Okay. So after that, we need to bind our inputs with the TS. So I've added here form control name property on NZ date picker tag, and you can see the form control name that is a to date on the NZ date picker tag. So you can see the method that we are calling on the click event that is a book card, and in the argument we have passed here validate form.value. So let me copy this property that is a spinning, and here I'm going to declare with by default false. So let's go to our UI, and you can see here we are getting an error that is a form group since is not a known property of form. So let's go to our customer module.ts, and here I'm going to inject reactive forms module, and the second we need to add here forms module. After that, we need to add the property in our book component.ts that is a date format, and it will be a day, month, and the year. So here in this method, I'm going to add console.log to print the values into our console. So let me add your data. Let's save this. So let me enter the from date and the to date that is the 30th December. Let's click on this book card button, and you can see we got the value from the input that is the to date and the from date. So we need to pass this data to our backend to book the card. So here I'm going to call this dot is spinning, and I'm going to make it true. And after that, we need to create an object that is a book a card DTO. And here we need to set that is a to date, and we will get to date from data dot to date. After that, we need to set here from date, and we will get from date from data dot from date. After that, we need to set here the user ID. So we will get user ID from our local storage. So let me check what is the name of our local storage. That is a storage service. Storage service dot get user ID. Let's go to our storage service, and here I'm going to add this method that is a get user ID. So let's go to our TS, and we need to call here storage service dot get user ID, and after that we need to set here car ID, and we will get car ID from this dot car ID. Okay, so after that we need to call here our service and the method that is a book a card, and here we need to pass book a card DTO. Let's subscribe this. Save the response into this variable that is a res, and here I'm going to add console.log to print the result into our console. And after that, we need to show the notification service to the customer. So let me inject first in the constructor that is a private message from MZ message service, and after that I'm going to inject here router, and it will be a from router. And here we need to call this dot message dot success, and the message over here that is a booking request submitted successfully, and the duration of this message that is a 5 seconds. And after that we need to navigate the customer to the dashboard. So it will be a this dot router dot navigate by URL, and here we need to pass the URL that is a /customer/dashboard. Okay, so in case of error, we need to show here the notification service to the customer. So it will be a this dot message dot error, and it will be a something went wrong, and the duration of this message that is a 5 seconds. Okay,
So let's save this. Let's go to our UI and let's test the API. So let me refresh the component. Let's click on this book card button, and you can see here booking request submitted successfully, and it's navigate us to the customer dashboard. You can see here the customer module. So first of all, I'm going to create a new component for the bookings. So let's go to our Angular project. Let me open here the customer module, and here in the components package, I'm going to open CMD. Let me write here the command that is a ng g for generate c for component, and name of the component that is a my bookings. Let's create this component. Component created successfully. Let me close the terminal. Let's go to our customer routing module.ts, and we need to register this component. And here I'm going to add the path that is a my underscore bookings, and we need to load here my bookings component. Let's save this, and let's go to our app component.html, and you can see the navbar for the customer. So let me add here a new button that is a my bookings. On the click of this button, we need to navigate the customer to this component. So here I'm going to add the path that is a /customer/my underscore bookings. Let's save this. Let's go to our UI, and you can see here the new button added in our navbar. Let me click on this my bookings button, and you can see it's navigating us to my bookings component, and you can see the path of this component. So let me log out, and let's go to our Spring Boot application, and let's create an API to get the bookings. So let's go to our book a car DTU class, and here I'm going to add a few more properties. So that is a private string username, private string email. So let me close this. Let's go to our book a car entity, and here I'm going to create a new method, and it will be a public, and the return type of this method that is a book a car DTO, and name of the method that is a. And here I'm going to create an object of book a car DTO, and it will be a new book a car DTO. And here we need to call book a car DTO.set ID, and we need to give here ID book a car DTO.set days, and we need to pass here days book a car DTO.set book car status, and we need to give here book car status book a car DTO.set price, and we need to give here price book a car DTO.set due date, and we need to pass here due date book a car DTO.set from date, and we need to pass here from date book a car DTO.set email, and we'll get email from user.get email book a car DTO dot set username user dot get name book a car DTO dot set user ID, and we'll get user ID from user dot get ID book a car DTO dot set car ID, and we will get car ID from car dot get ID, and after that we need to return here object that is a book a car DTO. Okay, so let me close this class. Let's go to our customer service, and here I'm going to create a method. So the return type of this method that is a list of book a car DTO, and name of the method that is a get bookings by user ID. The argument it will receive user ID that is a type of a long. So let's go to our customer service simple, and here I'm going to implement this method. So here we need to return book a car repository dot find all by user ID. So here we need to pass user ID. Let me create this method in our book a car repository, and it will return us a list of book a car entities. In the map we need to pass here the entity, and the second we need to pass here that is a get book a car DTO. Let me add here dot collect, and it will be a collectors dot to list. So let's go to our customer controller, and here I'm going to create an endpoint. So it will be a public, and the response entity over here, and it will be a list of book a car DTO and name of the method. Let me copy from here. So we need to get user ID from the URL. So here I'm going to use @path variable iteration and the long user ID. So here we need to return response entity dot okay, and in the argument we need to call here method from our customer service that is a get bookings by user ID, and here we need to pass user ID. On the top I'm going to add annotation that is a @get mapping to access this API, and here I'm going to add the URL of this API that is a /car. So let's run the application. So you can see here application started. Let's go to our Angular project and call this API. Please continue customer service. This method that is a get car by ID. Let me paste after that, and let me update the name. Let me remove this car ID from the argument, and here we need to add the URL of the API that is a /API/customer/car/bookings, and after that we need to pass here the user ID. So we get user ID from storage service dot get user ID. Okay, so let me close this. Let's go to our my bookings component.ts, and here I'm going to add constructor where we'll inject our customer service. So it will be a private service from customer service, and here I'm going to create method that is a get my bookings, and here we need to call our service and the method that is a get bookings by user ID, Let's subscribe this, save the response into this variable that is a res, and here I'm going to add console.log to print the result into our console. So we need to invoke this method. So let me call in the constructor. So it will be at this dot get bookings. Let's save this. Let's go to our UI and let's test the API. Let me log in here the customer. Let me open here the inspect. Let's go to our my bookings component. Okay, so I've added the wrong path in our Angular application. Let's go to our customer service, and we need to add here slash after the bookings. Let me refresh the component, and you can see we got the result from the backend with the 2 bookings. So we need to show these bookings into our UI. So let me close this. In the TS, I'm going to initialize a variable on the top that is a bookings, and it will be a type of any, and we need to call here this dot bookings, and we need to give the response to this variable. So let's go to our HTML, and here I'm going to add the code. So you can see here the code. We have a t head, and you can see the values that is a from date, to date, days, price, and the book car status. Let me declare this property in our TS, and it's by default false. When we need to call this method, then we need to make it true. After getting the response, we need to make it false. So let me call here this dot is spinning is equals to false, and let me comment this console.log. Let's go to our UI. Let me give this variable name to our table. You can see we are getting an error that is a NZ table is not a known element. So let's go to our Google, and here I'm going to search NZ table ng0. Let me open this, and here I'm going to copy this import. Let's go to our ng0 import module.ts, and here I'm going to add this import that is a NZ table module. Let me add after that. Let's go to our UI, and let me refresh the component. And you can see issue resolved, and we can see the bookings in our my bookings component. Let me refresh the component again. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to create a new component in the Angular application. So let me open the admin module, and here in the components package, I'm going to open integrated terminal. And here I'm going to write command that is ng g for generate, c for component, and name of the component that is a get bookings. You can see component created successfully. Let me close the terminal. Let's go to our admin routing module.ts, and here I'm going to register our component. So the path is a booking. Let me add here bookings, and here I'm going to load component that is a get bookings component. So let me close this. Let's go to our app component.html, and you can see here the navbar for the admin. So here I'm going to add a new button after the post car. So the caption of the button that is a bookings, and let me add here the path. Let's save this. Let's go to our UI, and you can see the new button added in the navbar. Let me click on this button, and you can see it's navigating us to get bookings component. So let's go to our Spring Boot application, and let's create an API to get the bookings. You can see the Spring Boot application. So let me open the admin service, and here I'm going to create a method. So the return type of this method that is a list of book a car DTO, and name of the method that is a get bookings. Let's go to our admin service simple, and here I'm going to implement this method. Let me inject the repository first in our admin service simple. So it will be a private final book a car repository. So here we need to call book a car repository dot find all, and it will be a .stream .map, and here we need to pass the entity that is a book a car, and second we need to pass here that is a get book a car DTO method, and after that we need to add here .collect, and it will be a collectors to list. After that, let's go to our admin controller, and here I'm going to create an endpoint to call method from our admin service. So it will be a public, and here I'm going to add response entity where we will return a list of book a car DTO. Let me import this list from java.util, and after that we need to add here the name of the method that is a get bookings. We need to return here response entity.ok, and here in the argument that is a admin service dot get bookings. So on the top, I'm going to add annotation that is a @get mapping, and the URL of this API that is a /car/bookings, and it will be a public instead of private. So let's run the application. You can see application started. Let's go to our Angular application and call this API. You can see the Angular application. So let's go to our admin service, and here I'm going to copy this method that is a get all cars. Let me paste after that, and here I'm going to update the name that is a get car bookings, and here we need to add the URL of the API that is a /API/admin/car/bookings. Let's save this. So let's go to our get booking component.ts, and here I'm going to add constructor where we will inject our admin service, and it will be a private admin service from admin service. And after that, I'm going to create a method that is a get bookings. In this, we need to call method from our admin service that is a get car bookings. So let's subscribe this, save the response into this variable that is a res, and here I'm going to add console.log to print the result into our console. So we need to invoke this method. So let me copy the method name, and here in the constructor I'm going to call this method that is a this.get bookings. Let's save this. Let's go to our UI, and let me open here the inspect. Let me clear the console. Let's refresh the component, and you can see we got the response from the backend with the 2 car bookings. So let's show these bookings into our UI. Let's go to our Angular application. Let me open here the get bookings component.html, and here I'm going to add the HTML code where we have a table. So these are the columns that is a username, email, from, date, to date, days, price, status, and action. So for now, I'm going to comment this head that is action. In the next video, we will do this functionality to change the status of the bookings. So you can see we are showing the username, email, from date, to date, days, price, and the book car status. So let me copy this variable name that is a bookings. Let's go to our get bookings component.ts, and on the top I'm going to initialize this variable that is a any. So here we just need to call this dot bookings is equals to res, because we need to assign the response to this variable. So let's go to our UI, and you can see we got an error. Let me copy this property that is a spinning, and here I'm going to declare this with by default false. So here before calling the API we need to make it true, and after getting the response we need to make it false. So let me add after getting the response, and here we need to assign the value that is a false. Let's save this. Let's go to our UI. Let me refresh the component again, and you can see the booking details with the username, email, from, to, days, price, and the status. Let me update this column name that is a from date and to date. Let's save this. Okay. Let's go to our Angular application, and here I'm going to uncomment this column where we have 2 buttons. First one is a approve, and second that is a reject. On the click of these buttons, we are calling a method that is a change status. In the argument, we are passing booking ID and the status that is a approve and the reject. So let me copy this method that is a change booking status. Let's go to our get bookings component.ts, and here I'm going to create this method. In the argument, it will receive booking ID that is a type of a number, and the second it will be a status that is a type of a string. So let me add here the console.log to print the booking ID and the status in the console. So let me add here booking ID, and second I'm going to print status. So let's save this. Let's go to our UI, and let me open here the inspect. So let's click on this approve button, and you can see we got the booking ID that is a 4 and the status that is a approve. Let me clear the console, and let's click on this reject button, and you can see we got the ID 5 and the status that is a reject. Let me change the color of the approve button. Let me remove this NZ denture from the approve button. The color of the button changed successfully. So let's go to our HTML, and here I'm going to uncomment this T head, and you can see here the caption of this column that is action. So let's go to our Spring Boot application and create an API. You can see here the admin service in the Spring Boot application. So here I'm going to create a method. So the return type of this method that is a boolean, and name of the method that is a change booking status. In the argument, it will receive booking ID that is a type of a long, and second it will receive a status that is a type of a string. So let me add here the
data type, that is a string. So let's go to our admin service impl. Let me implement this method, that is a change booking status. So first of all, we need to get booking by ID from the database. So here I'm going to create an object book a car, and it will be a optional book a car. And here we need to call our book a car repository and the method, that is a find by ID. And here we need to pass booking ID, and in the if condition we need to check that is a optional book a car is present. Then we need to move in the if block, otherwise we need to return here false. So in the if block I'm going to create an object that is a book a car, and it will be a existing book a car, and here we need to assign optional book a car dot get, and here I'm going to add if condition where we need to check that is a objects. Let me import these objects from java.util, and here we need to select equals. First we need to pass here the status, and the second we need to pass what we need to match. So here I'm going to add approve. If the status is approved, then we need to call here existing book a car dot set book car status, and it will be a book a car status dot approved. In the else, I'm going to add here existing book a car dot set book a car status, and it will be a book a car status dot rejected. Okay, and after that I'm going to call book a car repository and the method, that is a save, and here we need to pass existing book a car object to save the changes into our database, and we need to return here true. So let's go to our admin controller, and here I'm going to create an endpoint to call method from our admin service. So it will be a public, and the response entity I'm going to add here question mark, and here I'm going to add the method name, that is a change booking status, and in the argument I'm going to get the booking ID and the status from the URL. Booking ID, and second we need to get booking status. So here I'm going to add @path variable annotation and the string status, and here I'm going to call method from our admin service, that is a change booking status. So here we need to pass booking ID, and the second we need to pass here status. So here I'm going to initialize variable with the type of a boolean, and it will be a success. So after that I'm going to add if condition where we need to check if we got true, then we need to return here response entity dot okay dot build. In case of false, then we need to return here response entity dot not found dot build. So on the top I'm going to add annotation, that is a @get mapping to access this API, and the URL of this API, that is a /car/booking/booking ID. So let me add here booking ID /status. Let's run the Spring Boot application. You can see application started, and let's go to our Angular application and call this API. Let's go to our admin service, and here I'm going to copy this method, that is a get car bookings. Let me paste after that, and here I'm going to update the method name, that is a change booking status. In the argument it will receive booking ID, that is a type of a number, and second it will receive a status, that is a type of a string, and here I'm going to add backtick. Let's add the actual values of booking ID and status with the URL of the API. So let me remove this S from the bookings, so it will be a /API/admin/car/booking/booking ID. So let me pass here booking ID /status. So let me pass here status, and the mapping it will be a get. So let's save this. Let's go to our get booking component.ts. So first of all, in the constructor I'm going to inject message service. So it will be a ng message service. So here I'm going to call our admin service and the method, that is a change booking status, and here we need to pass booking ID, and second we need to pass here status. So let's subscribe this, save the response into this variable, that is a res, and here I'm going to add console.log to print the result into our console. Let me add here the spinning, and let's make it true, and after getting the response we need to make it false. So let me copy this statement and add after this, and here we need to make it false. After getting the response we need to call method, that is a this dot get bookings to get the updated record from the backend, and after that we need to show the notification to the admin. So it will be a this dot message dot success booking status changed successfully, and here I'm going to add the duration of this notification, that is a 5 seconds. So in case of error, and here we need to show the error message, the notification, that is a something went wrong, and the duration of this message, that is a 5 seconds. So let's go to our UI and let's test the API. So you can see here the status of these bookings, that is a pending. So let me click on this approve button to change the status of the first booking. So you can see the notification service, that is a booking status changed successfully, and the status that is also changed. Let me click on this reject button to reject the booking, and you can see the notification service and the status, that is a rejected, and you can also see the approve and the reject button disappeared from this column because I've added here the ng if where we are checking, that is a booking dot book a car status is pending, then we need to show these buttons, otherwise we don't need to show. So let me refresh the component and you can see the status of the bookings. Let me log out and let's log in here the customer. Let's go to our my bookings component in the customer module and you can see here the status. So let's go to our DTOs package and here I'm going to create a new class, search car DTO. Let me add here the annotation that is @data. So the properties are private string brand, private string type, private string transmission, private string color. After that, I'm going to create a new class that is a car DTO list DTO. So let me add here the annotation that is @data and the property over here that is a private list that is a car DTO. Let me import this list from java.util. So let's go to our admin service and let me create here the method. So the return type of this method that is a car DTO list DTO and name of the method that is a search cars, and in the argument it will receive an object that is a search car DTO. Let's go to our admin service impl and here I'm going to implement this method. So first of all, I'm going to create here the object of the car entity. So it will be a new car and here I'm going to set brand and we'll get brand from search car DTO.get brand, car dot set type, and we'll get type from search car DTO.get type, car dot set transmission, and we'll get search car DTO.get transmission, car dot set color, and here we need to get color. So it will be a search car DTO.get color. And here we need to call example matcher.matching all. So it will be a with matcher. First we need to pass here brand. So it will be a example matcher dot generic property matches dot contains dot ignore case. Second, that is a type. So it will be a example matcher dot generic property matches dot contains dot ignore case. Third, that is a transmission. So let me add here transmission example matcher dot generic property matches dot contains dot ignore case, and the last that is a color. It will be a example matcher dot generic property matches dot contains dot ignore case. Okay, so here I'm going to create an object that is a example and it will be a car example over here is equals to example dot of. First we need to pass here car object and second we need to pass here this object that is a example matcher. So let me create the object that is a list of a car entity and it will be a car list, and here we need to call car repository dot find all, and here we need to pass car example. And after that I'm going to create an object of car DTO list DTO. So it will be a new car DTO list DTO, and here we need to call list DTO dot set car DTO list, and here we need to pass car list dot stream dot map. So first we need to pass here car entity and second we need to pass here the method that is a get car DTO. So it will be a collect and the collectors dot to list, and after that we need to return here this object. Okay, so let's go to our admin controller and create an endpoint to call method from our admin service. So it will be a public response entity over here and name of the method that is a search car. So let me add here the annotation that is a request body to get the object. So it will be a search car DTO. And here we need to return response entity dot okay. And in the argument we need to call method from our admin service that is a search car, and here we need to pass search car DTO. On the top I'm going to add annotation that is a @post mapping to access this API, and the URL of this API that is a /car/search. So let's run the application. and you can see application started. So first of all, in the admin module, I'm going to create a new component. So let me open here the integrated terminal. And name of the component, that is a search-car. Let's create this. And you can see component created successfully. Let me close the terminal. Let's go to our admin module.ts, and here I'm going to register the search car component. So let me add here the path, that is a search, and here we need to load component, that is a search car. Let me import here manually. Okay, so let's save this. Let's go to our app component.html, and in the navbar of the admin, I'm going to add the new button, that is a search. And here we need to add the router link, that is a /admin/search. Let's save this. Let's go to our UI, and you can see here the search button. Let me click on this button, and you can see it's navigating us to search car component. Let's go to our search car component.ts, and here I'm going to write the functionality to create the reactive form of search car. I'm going to initialize variable, that is a search car form, and it will be a form group. Let me add here the constructor, and here I'm going to inject form builder. And here in the curly braces, I'm going to call this dot search car form is equals to this dot fp dot group. And here in this block, I'm going to declare the inputs that we need to get from the HTML. So first one is the brand, and it's by default null. Second type, transmission, and here last one, that is a color. So let's save this. Let's go to our search car component.html, and here I'm going to add the HTML code. You can see here the HTML code where we have a different inputs. First one is a drop down of the brands. Second is a type, color, and the last one, that is a transmission. And you can see the button where we have this method. So let me copy this method name. Let's go to our TS, and here I'm going to create this method, that is a search car. And here I'm going to add console.log to print the form value into our console. So here we need to call this dot search car form dot value, and after that we need to bind our reactive form with the HTML. So you can see the property, that is a form group. Let me add here the variable name, that is a search car form, and after that we need to bind the inputs with our TS. So you can see here the form control name on the NZ select tag. I've added here brand, and you can see here the form control name with type, color, and the transmission over here. Let me declare all of these arrays in the TS. So let's go to our post car component.ts. Let me copy these, and here I'm going to add after that where we have a list of brands, list of type, list of color, and the list of transmission. Let's go to our UI, and you can see here the error. Let me copy this property, that is a spinning, and let me add here, that is a spinning, and we need to make it false. Let's go to our UI. Let me refresh the component, and you can see here where we have a reactive form of search car with the inputs brand, type, color, and the transmission over here. Let me open here the inspect. Let's select here brand and the type, color, and the transmission. Let's click on this search car, and you can see here the input values that we got from the reactive form. Let's go to our admin service, and here I'm going to create a new method, that is a search car. So let me copy the post car method. Let me paste after that. Let me update the name, that is a search car. In the argument, it will receive search car DTU. Here we need to pass search car DTU, and here I'm going to add the URL, that is a /API/admin/car/search. Let's save this. Let's go to our search car component.ts, and here I'm going to add this dot is spinning, and I'm going to make it true, and here I'm going to call our admin service. So let me inject the admin service first. It will be a private service from admin service, and here we need to call this dot service dot search car, and here we need to pass the search form values. Let's subscribe this, save the response into this variable, that is a res, and here I'm going to add console.log to print the values in the console. So it will be a console.log and the rest over here. After getting the result, I'm going to make it false. Let's save this. Let's go to our UI. Let me open here the inspect and the console over here. Let's add the brand, and I'm going to add here the type, that is a hybrid, and the transmission automatic. Let's click on this search car button, and you can see we got the response from the backend with one car. Let me refresh the component, and here I'm going to select transmission, that is the automatic. Let's click on this search car, and you can see we got the result, the 3 cars. So let's show these searched car in our UI. Let's go to our admin dashboard, and I'm going to copy this loop, and I'm going to add here in our search car component.ts. So it will be a rest car detail list. Let me declare these cars. Let me remove these console.log. Let's say this. Let's go to our search car component.html, and here I'm going to add the code to show the searched cars. So you can see here I've added the for loop where we are getting the cars from this array one by one, and we are showing the car details like the image of the car, brand, name, description, price, color, transmission, type, year. Let's go to our UI. Let me close the console, and here I'm going to select the type, that is a hybrid. Let's click on this search car. You can see here we got an error. Let's go to our search car component.ts. Let me add here the dot after the car detail list. Let's save this. Let me refresh the component. Let me select the type again, that is a hybrid. Let's click on the search car, and you can see the search car results. Let me refresh the component, and here I'm going to select the brand like BMW search car, and you can see the result. Let's select here the color like black. Okay, and here I'm going to add transmission like automatic search car, and you can see. Let me log in here the customer. So you can see here the customer module. First of all, I'm going to create a new component, that is a car search. We will add the new button in the customer navbar. So let's go to our Angular project. Let me open here the customer module. In the components package, I'm going to create a new component. So let me open here the PowerShell, and here I'm going to write the command, that is a ng g4 generate c4 component, and name of the component, that is a search hyphen car. Let's create this, and you can see component created successfully. Let me close the PowerShell. Let's go to our customer routing module.ts, and in this file I'm going to register the search car component. So here I'm going to add the path, that is a car slash search, and here I'm going to add the component name, that is a search car component from. Let's save this. Let's go to our app component.html, and you can see here the navbar for the customer module. So here I'm going to add the new button with the caption search and the car over here, and here I'm going to add the path, that is a slash customer slash car slash search. Let's save this. Let's go to our UI, and you can see here the new button added in the navbar. Let me click on this button, and you can see it's navigating us to search car component. So let's go to our Spring Boot application, and let's create an API. So let me open the customer service. So let me copy this method name, that is a search car, and the return type of this method, that is a car DTO list, and in the argument it will receive a search car DTO object. So let me add after that. Let's go to our customer service simple, and here I'm going to implement this method. Okay, so let's go to our admin service simple, and let me copy the code from here. That is a search car. You can see here the customer service simple. Let me paste here the code. Okay, let's go to our admin controller, and here I'm going to copy this endpoint. Let me open here the customer controller, and here I'm going to add, and we need to call method from our customer service. So let me add here the customer service and the method, that is a search car. Okay, in the previous video I have implemented this functionality to search the car in the detail. You can check it out. So let's run the application. You can see application started. Let's go to our Angular project and call this API. You can see here the admin service. So let me copy the method that is a search car. Let's go to our customer service, and here I'm going to add after the get bookings by ID. Let me update the URL of the API, that is a /API/customer/car/search, and the mapping, it is a post, and in the argument it will receive a search car DTO. Let's save this. Let's go to our search car component.ts, and here we need to write the functionality to call the method from our customer service to invoke the endpoint from our Spring Boot application. So let me copy the code from the search car component in the admin module. Let me copy this. Let me add here in the search car component.ts in the customer module. So let me import this form group from @angular/forms and the form builder over here. And here I'm going to inject the customer service. And we need to call method from our customer service, that is a search car. Okay. Let me open the let me copy all the code. And let me paste in the search car component.html in the customer module. You can see here the HTML code, the first main div where we are getting the input values. First one is the brand, type, color, and the transmission over here. And you can see the button, that is a search car, where we are calling the method from our TS, that is a search car. And you can see the second div where we are showing all the searched cars that we are getting from the backend. Let's go to our search car component.scss. Let me copy all the code and let me paste here in the customer module. You can see here the properties. Okay. And you can see here the HTML code. So let's save this. Let's go to our UI. And you can see here the reactive form where the brands, type, color, and the transmission values are showing. So let me select here the brand like BMW. Let's click on the search car. And you can see we got the result from the backend with one car. So let me refresh the component. Let me select here type, that is a hybrid, and the color I'm going to add black. Let's click on the search car. Okay, so that's all for now from my side. I hope you like this video. If you have any confusion, you can do comment, and also subscribe to my channel for more videos and hit the bell icon. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.